All right. We live, Blake?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right, everybody. Welcome back to the 307 podcast. I know this is a odd time and odd day, odd hour. You guys aren't used to seeing us here on a Tuesday morning. It is Tuesday, right?
It's Tuesday,
Yeah,
brother.
it is Tuesday.
It's Giving Tuesday.
Giving Tuesday. But we have a great opportunity today that has been offered up to us by I'm just going to call him a friend and a brother and a mentor of mine. He came into my life, what's it been, about a year ago, Bean?
January of this year.
Pull that mic right up to you, Bean. Go ahead, man.
January this year.
January. Okay, so yeah, almost a year ago. Yeah. I met Bean for the first time at the Proving Grounds and didn't have any idea who he was, what kind of man he was. I had no idea. He was just somebody else that was there to train, right? And then Bean came up to me at the end of the Proving Grounds and just shared some words with me that were, I guess, on his heart, however you want to say it. And it was very encouraging and life-giving, and it was a really cool experience. And from that point forward, I mean, I realized, okay, this is a special dude. And I actually began to realize that as I heard you during the AARs throughout the course of the Proving Grounds mission, right? I was listening to you were giving us a little bit of your story, during the AARs and just the way you spoke. And yeah, man. And so from that point, praise the Lord, we've been in, we've been in contact with one another. We've trained together multiple other times, and dude, everything about you is just I don't know, it inspires me, and everything about you, I don't know, I look up to you. You know what I mean? I really do. I look up to you as a man of God. As a husband, as all the things that you've shared with me about your life, I'm like, it gives me something to aspire to. I don't know, maybe not to be, but to get better, right? So, Bean came all the way from daggone Arkansas to sit down and have a conversation with. Who the crap lives in Arkansas, man?
Everybody that's hiding, brother. But it's no good. You don't want to go there. All right? Nobody needs to go to Arkansas.
Oh, no.
You didn't need to say that. You didn't need to reveal the location.
Man, I actually have some really fond memories of Arkansas.
Do you? How come?
That is where we used to do land warfare training in the Navy. We did that in Arkansas. And it was, I guess, the reason I taught land warfare for a little while, and of course I went out there for every pre-deployment workup. We went to Arkansas to do land warfare, and then I taught out there for about a year, and it was the best deer hunting of anywhere that I've ever been.
Well, especially where you's hunting.
Yeah, I mean, we were hunting in places that we weren't really supposed to be hunting, but we had access to because we were who we were. And I have a lot of fond memories of Arkansas. So,
yeah, we don't call it hunting; we call it sniping.
Okay,
they just stand out there.
Yeah, no doubt, man. That's a beautiful state. So, thank you for coming, Bean.
No, thank you for having me. And thank you for the kind words as well. I appreciate that.
Yeah. So, dude, you're going to run 100 miles?
I don't know if I'm going to run the whole time. I mean, there'll be some walking in there, some hiking in there.
Yeah.
Some crawling maybe. You know what? I know a redhead too that's going to run with me.
I've been meaning to tell you, Bean, I was going to wait till you got here. I wouldn't recommend doing that. Running 100 miles.
Doing the 100 miles, you don't recommend it?
Do you have any, Bean, do you have any idea how hard it is to run 100 miles?
Of course not. Did you have any idea how hard it was going to be married?
No.
Did you have any idea, tech guy, how hard it would be to become a father?
No.
It's the same thing, man. I have no idea. And it's probably better that I don't know. That's how I see it. So I don't know. So what? So what?
100 miles, man. How old are you, Bean?
I'm 55.
55.
55. Hey, it's like that little placard you got behind you, right? The man in the arena. Isn't that what that's all about? I mean, nothing venture, nothing gain.
Yeah.
I'm going to give it a whack, man.
Yeah.
Going to put my best effort in there. It's not going to be easy, but anything that's worthy isn't generally easy.
So what's the furthest you've moved up to this point? Like, what's the furthest distance you've covered up to this point?
It's probably at the Rite of Passage.
How many miles?
That was 45 miles we did
45?
in 24 hours.
Okay.
That was constant motion, right?
Yep.
We never stopped, except for the aid stations that we had with Tech Guy over here. There was that Bojangles.
So you're gonna more than double 100 miles, man.
Dude, don't try to psych me out. All I'm going to do is put one foot in front of the other. That's all I'm not thinking of 100. Every time someone brings up, you're going to do 100 miles, I'm like, I don't even think about that. I just think I need to keep moving. Why get yourself all psyched out for?
Yeah.
Forget, that's not going to help me. I did a full marathon for the first time a couple of weeks ago, and and this was in my neck of the woods, a race that's put on every year. And I ended up running alongside a man by the name of George from the state of Georgia, 77 years old. Okay. Guy was incredible. So I never left his side. I decided I'm going to run alongside of him. I'm going to learn from him. And it all started off when I asked him, hey, George, how many marathons have you done in your life? And he turns around as we're starting to run. He looks at me and he says, well, this is number 40 for the year. I was like
77 years old.
Yeah, that's what I say. So wait a second. I said, how old are you? And he goes, I'm 77. I said, and you're telling me this is the 40th full marathon for the year, for this year? And he goes, yeah. And I couldn't believe it. And I was dumbfounded. And I said to him, well, I go, that's it, right? I mean, this is the last one. I said, you're going into the promised land. You've been in the wilderness for 40 years now, right, with this thing. And he said, no, I'm traveling next week to Dallas. And he named the event. I don't remember the name, but I remember what he's doing. Running 4 full marathons in a row, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. This 77-year-old guy.
That's legit, man.
And I was like, how long have you been doing this for? He goes, I started in my 30s. And I asked him, what was your best time? He goes, it was my second marathon that I ever did. I think he clocked in like at 3:15 or something. And then I asked, and he said to me, and this is my 180th race of the year. Official race, not a full marathon. He's done a lot of 5Ks this year. And he travels all around the country running. And that blows my mind. And then I told him about what we were going to be doing, for a fundraiser and doing 100 miles, trying to raise 100K. And he starts talking to me about it, but he poured into my life for the hours that we were out there. It was fantastic.
It's inspiring, dude. That's what I'm sitting here in my own mind and I'm thinking, Bean, like 100 miles, man. Why? And a lot of people are probably on YouTube are probably thinking the same thing. Why are at 55 years old, man? Most people are like settling in. We've kind of at 55 years old. I've kind of done all. I don't need to do anything new. I've kind of done everything that all the major stuff that I'm going to do in my life. I've whatever. They're kind of settling down. That's our culture, right? At least here in the South. You don't see many people at 55 years old saying, you know what? I think I'm going to go do 100-miler for the first time at 55 years old. Like, that's really kind of a weird concept to a lot of people. And not that 55 is old, but that is the age where I think here in America, most people think of that as like, okay, I'm getting ready to retire. I'm slowing down. I'm not looking to do anything that's new and extremely difficult. So why are you doing this? Like, I'm sure there's got to be many reasons, but like, what's the driving factor behind this? Because this is a huge commitment, and it's going to be a lot of pain, and it's way out of the ordinary. So why are you doing this, man?
You know, there's no simple answer. I think it's a broad answer, but to begin with is the concept that, you know, I serve a holy God. I serve Jesus. And at a foundational level, that's everything for me. Because when I think about Jesus, I see a man who is courageous, who is committed, and who changes everything. Changes everything. And I'm aspiring to be like Jesus, be courageous, be committed, change everything. I want to die on my feet. I don't want to die on my back, right? And that doesn't mean you got to go run 100 miles. But I do think that we owe it to God to image him, to be like him. There's no weakness in the person of God. We are not him, but we're made in his image. And I think we should put our best effort in every single day to copy him in some way. In some way, copy him, right? Be his imagers. I'm sure that entering that race, there's going to be a lot of butterflies, a lot of adrenaline, fear, trepidation, excitement. It's going to be a lot of people. It's going to definitely be camaraderie, a team spirit. I expect all of those things. Some of the greatest highs that you can experience in life are traveling through pain. You really can't appreciate pleasure until you've tasted some pain.
Yep.
You really can't. I think that some folks, just because they don't know it, are never going to taste some of the greatest pleasures in this life because they're not willing to make a sacrifice to suffer in some way with something that's unknown to them, right? And, you know, I work in the healthcare industry with cancer patients and with doctors that are providing integrative and alternative care to cancer patients. The name of the company that I work for is called Cancer Doctor, and you can find them at cancerdoctor.com. I have spoken with hundreds of cancer patients over the years, spoken to many doctors. And when you get a diagnosis, a health crisis, a diagnosis that you have cancer, it scares the life out of you, frightens you like nothing else. And then having to enter in to a form of care, of treatment, that scares you as well. And if you're an individual that unfortunately has not trained themselves to have to face a level of fear in your life at some point, head on, it makes that journey, oh man, excruciatingly difficult, right?
Yep.
And I had, and you know what? I'm going to read something to you. And because a good friend sent this to me, and I think it really captures, it'll capture the answer to your question that you originally asked me. A friend of mine, her name is Beth, and some months back, I had given her a heads up along with some other people that I was going to be potentially participating in this 100-mile run. And one of the things that all the viewers need to know is that back in 2014, my wife was diagnosed with a cancer.
Yeah, I want to get into that.
Yeah, we'll get into that. But when I announced to some friends that I was looking to do a 100-miler, their response was similar to yours. Why are you doing this, right? What's the point of all this? And so Beth, who had watched our life pretty carefully and was in close contact with my wife for a long time during her journey, she said the following to me about why she thought I was doing what I was doing. I think you have a desire to challenge yourself and deny yourself more than the average person would. Could be a desire to promote. It could be a desire to promote a greater reliance on God. You have lived for quite a long time in a state of extreme challenge, suffering, and self-denial. This inevitably has the beautiful byproduct of you clinging fiercely to God. I think it is a commonly accepted truth that suffering draws us closer to God, and the suffering that you and Pamela endured together over the last few years has drawn you closer to your Heavenly Father in a way that many of us have not experienced. I can understand how you would rather enter into a regimen that prompts you to rely on God more and reach out to Him more in order to maintain that closeness of relationship. And when she said that to me in a company of people, I was like, yeah, I think that's a big part of it. So when you're suffering, you begin, for me anyway, because of my faith in Jesus, I'm depending more on Him than when it's easy, right? I mean, we've all heard, right? When it's easy, it's like, ain't no big deal. But get into some pain or discomfort or suffering, or let something be taken away from you.
Yeah.
And you start to freak out a little bit. You're like, oh no, I need to hold on to something. Where is it, right?
Yeah.
How am I going to get through this and all? And the 307 Project is all about that, right? It's about, you're all about human development, and you're bringing Christ into the center of that. But what's happening to people is they're beginning to realize, oh, wow, there is something deeper down inside of my soul. And when I cling to a teammate or I cling to my God, something beautiful begins to happen. I transform. I'm changing on the inside, right? So I think that, part of it for me is that, and obviously I want to raise awareness about those cancer patients that are in need of care and in need of finances and resources to get the kind of health care that they really need and all. Yeah.
Well, I want to make a few comments on what you just said. And by the way, if you're watching this, I hope just from that little exposition that being just laid out there for us of why he is entering into this arena of 100 miles, I hope you're beginning to realize why we're so thankful for the opportunity to have been on the show. And you're exactly right, man. Intentional suffering builds resiliency so that you can endure unintentional suffering that life is going to throw at you. And you can't help but think the reason why so many people give up and just lay down and just quit, and whether that looks like suicide or whether that looks like you are just the living dead, but so many people get hit by something, get blindsided by something in life, and they quit because they have not built the resiliency that they needed to endure that moment during the time when all things were good, when things were stable, when they were healthy. And it's hard when you're when you're financially stable, you're healthy, everything's going good. It is hard, man, to choose to enter into something that's going to cause you pain, that's going to cost you time, you're going to have to be disciplined to achieve it. All of these elements, right? It's hard to make that decision, man. I get it. But making that decision during the good times it's the best investment that you can possibly make. Because I don't care who you are, what your status is, how good things are for you right now, there's a fact that things are going to get rough at some point in time before you leave this earth. And we have to build the resiliency. the skills, the tools, the knowledge, all of the things that we need, we have to build those things while we have the capacity to enter into them willingly so that we can endure them when we're subjected to them unwillingly. That is the purpose of all of this. I have to agree with you 100%, Bean.
Well, you're gonna learn that one way or the other. You're either gonna learn it in the good times willingly, or you're gonna learn it in the bad times unwillingly. And it's like, it's like this race. You can say, I know this race is coming up, and I'm not gonna train for it, but I'm gonna go do it. And then it's like, well, no, Bean, you don't need to learn the lesson in the middle of the struggle. You need to learn the lesson before and then endure the struggle and apply those things that you learned. And so you're either going to learn it willingly or unwillingly, one way or the other. Like you said, Chad, before, you're either going to learn it out of necessity or willingly, so.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. I mean,
Yeah.
and hate to interrupt you, but that's why I entered into the Rite of Passage, because I had never been on my feet for 24 hours moving.
Mm-hmm.
Been up for 24 hours, but not moving. And then got together with Michael Majors, Michael, and he put on an event out at his place. It was a 24-hour. I went there to be up on my feet again for 24 hours and to practice this, right? Put this into practice, the discomfort of what it's like, so that when it happens to me, it's not foreign. Mm-hmm. It's like, oh, where did this come from? Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah. And you're right. You're not born with, you're not just born with the ability to endure the maximum level of discomfort or pain or suffering that you're going to experience in life. Like that's not innate. That is incrementally built throughout these intentional endeavors, right? And I think a lot of people get confused when they look at people like me or people like David Goggins or people like all the big guys, Cameron Haynes, all these dudes that, they do a lot of really hard things, and they think that that's just something innate in them. What they don't understand is, I can only speak for myself. When I first started entering into this arena of subjecting myself to extreme physical and mental anguish, it was brutal, man. And I didn't have I barely had the capacity to make it through, sometimes hour by hour by hour. But I increased my capacity for enduring discomfort over the course of a literal decade. It's a decade of intentional work to increase that capacity, right? And I tell you what, man, that gives you. I've been doing a little series on Truck Talk about, how to just kind of have peace in life, right? And the one coming out today actually gets to the root of it, which is our faith in Christ. But, I got to talk to everybody. I'm talking to everybody on there, right? And a lot of these people don't believe in Christ, right? But one thing that will give you some peace in life is knowing that you have built the capacity to endure. But that's not innate. You got to go after that, man. You got to pursue it. Okay?
Yeah. I think I've kind of realized this, peace, and it kind of you arrive to Jesus as the ultimate peace when you begin to say, all right, I've got some physical ability, so now I'm a little bit more free. And then you say, oh, well, that didn't free me all the way, so let me peel another layer back. And I've got some financial freedom, but now I'm still don't feel free, like it's still something binding me. Let me pull that layer back. And you keep pulling layers, and eventually you get to the bottom and you say, well, Jesus is the only thing. It's the only thing. There has to be something bigger than what I can do left, and here's this Jesus. And that's kind of how I begin to view this. It's like you're pulling back these layers of freedom until you realize you get to the point you can't pull back any more layers, but you're still not free, And that's kind of going through this thing like you're talking about of just a little bit, like we can do things to sort of free ourselves in a sense and give us more ability to endure the hard times that we go through, but it's still not the ultimate you still can't ultimately endure them because of doing those things.
What? And the last thing I want to talk about that Bean hit on is when you enter into these difficult times, whether it's intentionally or unintentionally, it teaches you to cling to Christ and to cling to your faith, right? It really does. And I have come to the conclusion, and correct me if I'm wrong, but if you are truly following Christ, He is never going to call you to a purpose or a task that is easy for you, because the most dangerous place that you can be as a slave to Christ, as a servant to Christ, as a son of the living God, the most dangerous place that you can be is a place of being in a place of comfort and complacency.
Yeah, I mean, Jesus made it clear in Matthew 16, right, that if anybody wants to come after me, keep in mind who's saying these words, right? It's Jesus. It's the source of life. He is the source of life. If anybody desires to come after me, let him deny himself, pick up his cross, and follow me. Let him deny himself, pick up his cross, follow me. 3 things. Deny your life, right?
Man, yeah.
Deny. It's tough, It's tough to go, well, I don't want to deny all my ambitions.
You mean I'm not
dreams.
that important?
Yeah, it's like, yeah, right.
I can't believe you'd say that to me, Bean.
I know, but you're not. We're both going to end up in the box. We're going to decay. And the only one that matters is Jesus at that point, because he's the source of life, right? There's either life after death or there isn't, right? He says, deny your life. Do not put yourself first. It's a detriment to your future. Don't put yourself first. Deny yourself. Pick up your cross. And those boys that were following him, they knew exactly when he said pick up a cross, an instrument of death, an instrument of torture, difficulty.
That's radical, ain't it?
Yeah, it's like I got to carry a load for how far? When can I put this thing down? He doesn't say you get to put it down.
Yeah.
And a load, that's the tool for other people to punish you with, right?
Yeah, right.
Like, here, I'm going to tote this tool for you for when it's time for you to punish me.
It doesn't make any sense at all. And then he says, and follow me. Follow me with this load. It's a weight, man. At 3:7, you talk about patience. The definition of the word patience is not to wait, it's to carry a load. It's to be able to carry the load.
Yeah. Because it's not being patient when it's easy.
Right. It says moving forward. And this is what Jesus calls us to in this life. It's what needs to take place. So as soon as you decide, well, I'm going to start putting my ambitions first. I'm not going to deny myself. I'm going to put myself first. And I'm going to take a life of comfort, get rid of that cross. No, I need to be comfortable. Right? And I don't need to follow you. I need to follow me. I'm going to do what I need to do. Well, that's diametrically opposed to the way Jesus says life needs to be for us. And that's just going to destroy your life. And you can look around the world today, and that's exactly what you have. You have a lot of people putting themselves first. They're seeking to be comforted every single day of their life. It's a microwave society. They just want to do what they want to do. And they're still not happy.
Well, that's what that's what they're taught to do in order to achieve happiness, and it's actually the exact opposite.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's satanic.
Yeah.
It's devilish. The whole thing is rebellious, to the way of life.
Well, now, this particular event, this particular 100-mile race that you're doing, you have also decided to attach something to this that is bigger than just the event. You've decided to raise some money by way of this challenge that you've accepted. So, first of all, what are you raising money for by way of this challenge?
Yeah. When every day in the United States, there's over 5,000 newly diagnosed cancer patients every day in the U.S. So just Kind of
5,000 a day.
Over 5,000. It's about 5,200 and change, something like that right now. So let that sink in your ears. Over 5,000. It's too many people. And it's estimated right now that 1 in 3 Americans will get cancer.
1 in 3?
And so that means one of us here in the room, God forbid, gets a cancer diagnosis. And when you get a cancer diagnosis, your options are really limited as to what you can do in order to take care of it. It's generally going to include at all times one or a combination of the big 3 in what is known as the standard of care or conventional care in cancer. They will be chemotherapy, treatment, or radiation, or a surgery. Those are the big 3. And those are the only things that medical insurance is going to pay for. If you know about something outside of that you may want to incorporate into your care, maybe to improve your quality of life or to safeguard your immune system or strengthen your immune system, things of this nature, insurance is not going to pay, and you're going to have to pay out of pocket. And that medical care can get very expensive. Even if you decide not to do something like that, you're just going to do conventional care. I think the last report that I saw, if you get cancer in the United States, and this is for the folks that are getting conventional care, it's over 30% of them that are going to declare bankruptcy eventually. And for the women, it's even worse because it's over 30%. It's really a sad statistic. Over 30% of the ladies that get a cancer diagnosis, their husbands will divorce them. Then nobody wants to suffer like that, you see. Mm-hmm. So
you said over how 30 or 40?
Over 30%.
Over 30% will go through a divorce at some point.
Mm-hmm. If it's the woman that has the diagnosis, right? If the tables are turned and the man is the one with the diagnosis, the wives are generally loyal to stay with him, but not so in the case of the man, right? Which is it's pathetic, right? It's pathetic. I don't even know how you call yourself a man and leave your wife in her time of greatest need. I don't understand that. Just doesn't make sense to me. So our company, what we decided to do was participate in the Beast of the East 100 on December the 9th, the 100-mile run, to raise awareness and to raise monies to be given away to one randomly selected patient that is looking to receive some form of alternative or wants to incorporate some other form of care, maybe into their conventional care, or maybe they just want to do integrative care as a standalone, but they can't afford it. And so they need the money, right? They need to find it somewhere. A lot of the cancer patients that we work with, they might borrow from their house, take a second on the house to get money. They'll sell a life insurance policy to get money. They'll do a fundraiser on their own to get money. But it's hard. It's really tough because, medical bills add up really fast. It's easy to dump $50,000.
Oh, I bet.
It's nothing.
Well, I got to imagine, too, the doctors that are doing this unconventional care know that insurance isn't going to pay for it. Correct. So they probably require some substantial payment up front or maybe if not payment in full up front, right?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah, you're gonna pay weekly or pay all of it up front. That's the way it is, right? You got to pay as you go. But as I communicate to patients, quality of life is so crucial because if you're not able to safeguard your quality of life, it becomes easier to want to quit, to just throw in the towel because the suffering is so painful, right? And I've seen that suffering up close and personal. And it's much different than the suffering of a 100-mile run, I can assure you.
Yeah.
All right? Because that 100-mile thing, the benefit is that's going to end, or at some point during the run, you want to stop. You can.
You can
But
exit.
when you have a health crisis, there's no stopping, man. This train is moving forward. It's going. And nothing's going to stop it. Short of a bona fide miracle from God above, right? But short of that, the best you can do is put a good team together so you can get the best quality of care possible to improve that quality of life as you're trying to fight back the disease, right, that you have. Hopefully get into a place of remission or no evidence of disease any longer. But the patients, they're suffering. It's difficult. It's hard. And it's probably been the hardest thing I've ever had to do in my life, is look into the eyes of people and their family members, their children or their spouses, when the family members got cancer. And there's over 100 different types of cancers. When we hear cancer, we just think, oh, a disease. But there's over 100 types of cancers that are out there. And there's subsets within a cancer. And all of them are getting treated generally with chemo, radiation, or a surgery. That's what's going to happen. Nothing has changed in over 50 years. We've been treating these patients the exact same way. And most of that, I think, comes from the reality that there's a lot of money to be made in treating cancer, unfortunately.
I've thought about this so many times.
Yeah. Probably the best parallel, in order to drive this home, where everybody watching this can understand, everybody is familiar with COVID now, right? And when this took place, what was it? It was picking up steam in early 2020 with COVID. I was already working in the healthcare industry for a long time. And my wife and I were talking about this. And I said to her, hey, look, we're not having anything to do with this thing, right? With this shot. I said, because it's not a real vaccination that's coming out. It's too fast. That's not how we approve a real medicine, okay? It's not how this gets done. So we can't mess with this thing. But at the end of 2020, when this was going to get released, because I think the first vaccine was released in December, the first injection, I was able to get a hold of the papers that were given to doctors and nurses. They're going to administer that particular. So I read it all. And when I read it, I was like, nobody should be taking this thing. I mean, I was looking at the side effects and the possibilities, but it was really clear, if you had cancer, I got the paper, man. Don't get this thing. Okay. And that injection causes complications, or seem to cause cancer to reappear in patients that were already in remission, or made patients that had cancer even worse. It was like, But obviously there was a story that was being told, during COVID. And here's what they did to the American populace. They struck you with fear cells. And when I saw it, I turned to my wife and I said, wow. I said, this is incredible. She said, why? Is it because they're taking the play out of the cancer playbook? I go, do you notice the fear? And she's like, yeah. Because when you get a cancer diagnosis, they instill fear in the patient. If you don't get this treatment done immediately, you're going to die. Mm-hmm. They strike them with fear, so they line you up immediately to get your chemotherapy, radiation, or surgery. And they don't want you to have the impression that you can wait. There's no waiting. There's no time to think. You got to do it now. Let me tell you, the God I serve has a habit of doing things a little slowly. And the devil always seems to do things a little quickly. Mm-hmm. And these two things don't work together, generally speaking. That's not to say there's not a time to move quickly, but you should think this thing through carefully, because there's certain things in this life, like getting treated for cancer. There's no second chance once you start this thing, right? Mm-hmm. You've injected some foreign substances into your body, or you're doing some things, and you want to be well read about it before you move forward. And I was saddened to see so many people getting injected by a so-called vaccine during COVID that weren't read up. This is your health, man. I consider health to be sacred. It's sacred. There are things that could be done to the human body that break it permanently. There's no coming back. Yeah. Permanent. And that's sad. And a lot of people get taken advantage of because they're afraid. Mm-hmm. Now, for me, for my wife, and for other people, for you guys here, we all understand fear. But if somebody tries to strike me with the fear of death, I'm like, praise Jesus, man. Kill me and get me out of here. can you please make it quick? I don't want to suffer. I don't want to suffer, right? I would rather take me out. I mean, I really believe in life after death. I really believe that when Jesus said, hey, I'm leaving and you guys are sad, but you should be happy because I said I'm going back to the Father. He said, you should be happy for me.
Yeah.
Well, that implies that it's a lot better where he's taken off to.
Yeah.
We say we believe and everyone says hey, man, everybody wants to go to heaven, but nobody wants to die, right? But in this, and you talked about the training incrementally, right? We need to train spiritually incrementally so that nobody can push us with fear. Nobody can push us with fear. Jesus said there's only one person that you need to be afraid of. It's God himself. That's it. I don't want you to be afraid of people that can kill you. They can take your life from your body. I don't want you to be afraid of them. I want you to be afraid of the person that after he kills your body, he could throw your soul and your body into hell. That's the one you need to be afraid of, right? That's an important truth to meditate on and to think about like deeply. Or else in this world of manipulation and sales and marketing where money is everything, you can get taken advantage of through fear. Someone's always selling you a piece of fear, man.
Yeah.
Always, right?
Yeah.
You've seen it, it.
Yeah. Fear, and also, I see it being done through even shaming. Shaming is a big thing, and so you're raising money. Your company is you by way of this challenge. You're raising money in order to provide financial assistance for one patient to be able to seek and pay for alternative treatment or treatment that increases their quality of life as they endure through the conventional treatment. So this is actually going to fundamentally change someone's life.
Absolutely, yeah. At least one life. Ideally, if we could raise $100,000, not only would that cover their treatment at at the facility of their choice, right? But once they got out, it would also cover some of the therapies, supplementations, or medications, or whatever that looks like when they go home.
Yeah.
That it would do that too. So it gives that individual a fighting chance, right?
Yep.
And hey, I know it's only one person, but one life is an important life.
Huge.
It's huge.
It's
right?
huge, man. It's huge. So before we go any further, I want to let you guys know, you guys that are watching this live on YouTube right now, if you look, here's the thing. Here's the reality. If everyone that listens to this podcast right here would go and donate $10, we would raise $100,000. Like literally, if you're listening to this right now, if you have the heart to go and donate $10, every one of you guys, if you do it, we will be able to raise $100,000 to fundamentally change someone's life, to impact someone's life. And here's the thing. Do you have a way to monitor these donations?
Yeah, so we're tied in with a 501c3, a nonprofit that's working with us. So every dollar that's donated is fully tax deductible.
Okay.
And that organization is the Cancer Guide Research Foundation. But the easiest way to donate to get there is to go to cancerdoctor.com. There's a little orange icon on the homepage of the screen. It says that we're giving away $100,000, that's what we want to do. You click on it. It takes you to the page and make the donation.
Blake, can you drop that in the comments?
Cancerdoctor.com.
Cancerdoctor.com.
Yep.
Can you monitor the donations as they come in? Do you get an email?
Yeah.
Okay, look, for all of you guys that are watching right now, during this conversation, I am personally going to match every single donation that you guys make up to $1,000. All right? So we're going to monitor this. When we finish this conversation, we're going to see what the donations are, and I am personally going to match up to $1,000 in donations. Okay? So that's going to be my contribution. I have faith that you guys are going to exceed that. But I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to match up to $1,000. So Blake's going to drop that in the comment section of this episode right now.
Appreciate that.
And again, if every one of you did $10, man, it's a game changer. So I want to go into you gave us a good kind of a rundown, Bean, but what are some of these, and this is for everybody listening or watching. You probably know someone right now who has cancer. You may have cancer yourself. You may be going through this right now in your own life. Or it might be something that you are going to encounter in the future, either you yourself or someone that you love. So, Bean, I just wanted to ask you, what are some of the other or alternative options that you have recommended, that you have seen your patients partake in? What are some of these options? What does this look like specifically? And you don't have to name them all, but I just want people listening to understand, okay, there are other things out here that I need to look into, and what might be the starting place? Like, what might be the thing or the couple of things that I should explore if I'm encountered with this situation? Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so when you start talking about integrative care for a cancer patient or alternative care, the conversation can get broad really fast, right? Because here's one of the things that folks don't realize. Let's just say prior to 1900, homeopathic medicine was really what was done, around the world. So a lot of this has been lost today, and it's been replaced with medications of some sort. Now, I'm not making an argument. I don't want anybody to be led to believe that medication doesn't have a place. All right. And furthermore, I'm not a medical doctor, but I work with medical doctors and I work with cancer patients. But there's a place, for medicine, right? What's important is to get educated about the medications, that you're going to take, and side effects and things of this nature. But for example, one thing that a substance that's being used in a lot of alternative type centers and integrative centers is vitamin C, ascorbic acid in high dosages. Now, I've
heard of this.
When I talk about a high dosage, I'm talking about dosages that are 50 grams or higher. And for anybody that's thinking, well, I'm going to go get a supplement and I'm just going to load up on 50 grams, it's not the same thing. All right, we're talking about something intravenously going into your body, right? So there are patients out that are taking 50 grams, 70 grams. I've known patients that have taken 100 grams of vitamin C. Now, why does it work? How does this help? Everybody understands that vitamin C is an antioxidant. And you may have it on your shelf, and you take it when you're starting to get a cold to fight free radicals in your body. But when vitamin C is introduced into the body at a high dosage, it doesn't act like an antioxidant anymore. It turns into a pro-oxidant. This is how a chemotherapy agent works. Chemotherapy, that agent, when it hits the human cell, is causing a high level of stress on it so that it dies. I'm just speaking in layman terms. When you take vitamin C in real high dosages, it has a pro-oxidant effect. It stresses the cell to die. All right. And vitamin C, by and large, is not going to harm you at all. In a lot of centers, they will incorporate high dosages of vitamin C, some once a week or twice a week, some a little less than that, just kind of depends. Some patients, they need to be tested to make sure they can tolerate high dosages of vitamin C. There seems to be a very small segment of the population that is not able to take those high dosages. Again, we're talking 50 grams or higher, all right? That would be, an example of one alternative form of therapy. Now going to the conventional side of things, there are doctors that provide chemotherapy in lower dosages. And they do it in a way known as insulin potentiation therapy. The acronym is IPT. And you actually have a doctor out here in Georgia that we've worked with in the past. His name is Dr. Jonathan Stegall. He's in Alpharetta, Georgia. He's an oncologist, but he's an integrative oncologist, and it's all he's ever done. And he uses IPT. Cancer cells feed off of sugar. They feed off some other things too, okay? But I'm just for the sake of this conversation, they'll utilize sugar, high volumes of glucose in the body. So what a doctor that is using IPT, what he will do in his center is reduce the insulin levels of the patient so that the cancer cell begins to become vulnerable in its need for glucose. Make sense so far?
Yep.
All right. And then what he does is he will introduce a low dose of chemotherapy. It may be 10 to 20% of what a full dose is. Okay, so substantially less. And this agent would have been tested prior to the treatment. There would have been a test conducted to find out if this agent will have a good killing effect on this patient's cancer cells. That's not something that's done ever in conventional care. Okay, so it's a real smart bomb approach. Will this agent work? Because one of the things that is really sad is that you may begin treated with a cancer agent that isn't really effective for your cancer. That's a bummer. All right, so.
I could say you're talking about 5,000 new diagnoses, over 5,000 new diagnoses a day.
Yeah.
So there's a good chance that you're just getting lumped in with everybody else, and you're just getting the standard
of care. Yeah,
the standard dose.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
So doctor lowers the insulin. The cancer cell starts to become vulnerable, and it's because it needs glucose. Introduces a low dose chemo agent that has been tested for your cancer cell. And then he chases it with some glucose. So as that cancer cell wants to consume the glucose, because it's starving for glucose at this point, it's gobbling up glucose with chemotherapies. And you get a better kill. Make sense?
Yep.
This same doctor will be introducing other immune boosting therapies into the body as well, like maybe a vitamin C, for example. There are other infusions. They got their own little names. One that's really popular to boost immune system is a Myers cocktail, it's called. All right. They all have these different names, and there's different ingredients in these infusion bags. Okay. But this would be an example of something. Now, there are, again, we're just touching on a couple of things.
Yeah, that's
But what I want people to know is that there's a whole world that exists of professionals that are providing other forms of care. Now, the argument that'll come up is, well, if these things are effective, why can't they be done? Well, that's because we have something called the FDA. And unless something is FDA approved, then it cannot be administered in the United States. Now, then the next comment is, well, then if it's not FDA approved, it's not safe. That's not the case. There are many substances that are not FDA approved that are perfectly safe. All right. I mean, we're not using vitamin C for cancer, but vitamin C is safe. I've had vitamin C infusions in the past when I got sick. All right. It's not going to harm you.
I don't think anyone listening to the 307 podcast at this point has any belief that the FDA is actually the real safety police. That the FDA is here to determine what is safe for you and I.
What do you mean? I won't eat anything unless it's FDA approved.
I don't believe there's a single person listening that believes that.
I know, but there's folks that I communicate with that they believe that the FDA is there to protect them. All right, and I'm like, well, okay, so And the reason that we're set up this way is because, and I don't want to get too far down on a soapbox, but the FDA and the pharmaceutical industry and the American Medical Association, they're all tied together to support one another. And who ends up paying for this in money and in health is the patient, because we really don't have a health care model. What we have is a sick care model.
Yeah.
And I remember one medical doctor. This doctor, he's already in his 60s. He's spent his entire career, right, as a medical doctor. I'll never forget being in his office, and he told me this one day. He said, when I went through medical school, we were told the following. The first time you prescribe a medication to a patient, they will never come off of it. And on average, you are going to prescribe another 3 or 4 to manage the side effects from those medications. They'll never get off their prescription drugs. I'm like, when I've been asked before, do you take any prescription drugs? And I said, no. They go, you've never taken prescription? No. And I know guys in their 40s and they're on prescription drugs already. They've been doing it for a while. I'm like, no. I mean, my mother doesn't take prescription drugs. I'd rather go eat my black beans and drink my water. Yeah. I don't want to take prescription drugs. Now, I'm not making the case that there's not a place for a prescription drug. But as I told a close friend recently, all right, if you're going to get on the medication because you're in a dark spot, take it and then begin to devise a plan to get off of it. Get better, get healthy, find the root cause as to why you're ill, and correct it so you can dump this medication. That's the goal, because these substances are changing things in your body. They really are.
I wish I knew the numbers on it, but I would have to imagine that the pharmaceutical, if you call it an industry, just the pharmaceutical industry here in the United States has got to be one of the biggest money making industries. It's got to be.
I heard a report. In the beginning, I was following COVID and all of that very closely, but after about 18 months, I didn't want to spend time there no more. I was like, I'm done with this. But every now and again, something will come across my desk. But I think at the present, profits in the pharmaceutical industry combined since the release of the first vaccine have now exceeded $200 billion. $200 billion. Just profit, just the profit margin. $200 billion. Now, a few years ago, I forget what year it was, I was looking at a report from an organization that tracks medical care and all. And in the oncology industry, in 1 year, for all the chemos, medications, all this stuff, they made, it was $32 billion for 1 year. There's too much money in this. They don't want people to get healthy.
Yep.
If you get healthy, how are we going to replace those sales? And that's why someone always needs to come out with a new drug and a new patent, because, hey man, the drug is expensive when it just comes out, and they're protected by the patent. Once the patent is lost, the drug becomes cheaper. Everybody else can make it. They don't make the kind of profits that they did in the beginning. It's a racket. It's terrible. And people that are made in the image of God, that are sacred to God, are being taken advantage of, and they're getting hurt. That's just wrong. It's immoral.
It's pure wickedness, man.
It's evil.
It's pure wickedness is what it is. Mm-hmm. And the crazy thing is too about the way the system is designed, with the FDA being the grand wizard that has to sign off on anything that can actually be administered in the United States. Like, they have complete control over this. Like,
yeah, here's a dirty little secret that when I read it, I was like infuriated. I was like, no way, I can't believe this. I can't believe what I just read. The FDA's budget, it's like 70 or 80%. It's a very high number, okay? It's way up there. 70, 80% of their budget for the year comes from the pharmaceutical industry. Because every time the pharmaceutical industry wants to get an approval, they have to file an application, pay the money for the application. The FDA is getting their money.
Oh yeah.
So the they're incentivized to help the pharmaceutical industry to collect their money to pay the bills.
What a broken system,
it's
man.
Sick. It's sick. And so, it's like, I'd rather tell people, hey, look, man, change your lifestyle. Change your lifestyle. There's a whole field of study today called epigenetics. And epigenetics is the field of study that your entire lifestyle, this would include what you eat, what you drink, the environment you live in, your stress levels, exercise, all of it, all right? That plays the major role in your demise or your well-being. And this includes, diseases. We know that you can change your body at a cellular level based on epigenetics. It's a proven scientific fact now. Mm-hmm. That's why if you start eating differently, as I tell people, you'll start pooping differently. You'll start sleeping differently. You get a little exercise in there, you get some fresh air, your mind will change. This is the field of epigenetics.
And I don't want to get too sidetracked off of where I wanted to go with this conversation, but I think people also need to understand that when we talk about these lifestyle changes, they're seen as extreme now. So for instance, if you guys always notice, I carry this Nalgene bottle around with me. You know why I have this? Because I will not drink bottled water from the gas station. I will not drink water out of that tap in there that's coming out of the faucet. All this water you see me drinking all the time, the only water I drink comes straight out of a spring up the road up here, and I carry jugs down to that spring, and I fill 30, 40 gallons out of that spring that's running right out of the ground, and that's the only water that I will drink. And now people think that's extreme to people. Like, for real, man, you won't just drink a bottle of smart water. Now, if I was in a pinch somewhere, and whatever, yeah, maybe but 99% of the time, 99.9% of the time, this is the only water that I will drink. And you think of how much I consume a gallon plus of water per day. And that's a lot of content going into my body. And so the things in this water are affecting my body probably in a huge way. And so if I drink that water out of that faucet in there, first of all, they'll tell you, maybe you can do some research about what they put in that water, right? But you don't know. You don't even know what all's in that water, man. And you can taste it. You can taste it. Like, it's not even like covert. It's overt. I take a sip of that water in there, and it's like I'm drinking pure chemicals. But it's because I've been drinking this for so long.
Yeah, spring water is the best way to go, man. I mean, I'm real picky like you about water. But I don't mess with my water.
But man, that seems that is not extreme, guys. It's not extreme. It's something that you're in control of. Now, that you can change. And now I know not everybody has a spring that they can go and visit and get water from, but like, make the changes that you can possibly make, okay? So it's these lifestyle changes are seen as extreme, but like they're not that extreme. They might take a little extra effort. They're actually normal. And the reason they're seen as extreme is because all of the sick people that we're surrounded by now that are perpetually sick and on medication and feel terrible, like, that's the new normal. That's not supposed to be, it's not supposed to be that way, man. So, the question I have for you, Bean, is where do people who have received a cancer diagnosis or have a friend or a family member who have received a cancer diagnosis, where can people go? Because to find options for these alternative care or these supplemental treatments. because I imagine I remember when Brooke decided she wanted to get clean. The hardest thing was like, okay, she decided she wanted to get clean. Now, where do we go to find a place to help us through this? Mm-hmm. It's like, that was back when the commercial used to come on the TV for a treatment facility, because that was right smack in the middle of when all these pills and stuff, it was becoming very obvious that it was just destroying people. And so we're like calling these random places, like we didn't know where to go to even begin to find treatment. And I could only imagine if tomorrow something gets jacked up with me and I go down here to the doctor and he says, hey man, you got cancer. Where in the world do okay, now I've decided, okay, I want to seek some alternative treatment options, or at least explore that. Where do you go? I mean, because you Google it and a 10 million things pop up. Like, where's a trusted source where people can go to explore or understand these options better?
Yeah, a couple things. You mentioned Google, so don't go to Google. Google has systematically, there's no nice way to say it, but they've hidden.
Oh, imagine that.
They've hidden a lot, and especially in the health and wellness industry since about 2017 now, they have systematically, through their Google Medic updates, hidden information.
Imagine
from
that.
Public site. Yeah. It's a bummer. Find another search engine, man, to do searches on. But if you go to cancerdoctor.com, we have over 400 professionals on there, all right, in different parts of the world. They're providing some level of care, anything from full cancer treatment to providing something as limited as an adjunctive therapy. So it might be just one type of therapy to help you, all right? So check them out. And on the homepage, there's a video series that we did. You'll see me doing the video series. And if you click on that video series, it'll tell you how to navigate the page and how to make heads and tails. It does it in layman terms so you're not lost. Because one of the difficulties when you're in a health crisis is you're so stressed out. It becomes very difficult to sort through all of it. And we don't want it to become more difficult for you. We're trying to lighten your load here. That's the goal when it's all said and done. So go there. There's plenty of resources. Check it all out. If you send an email in to us with a question, we will personally respond to you. It'll be myself or it'll be another associate, but we will respond to your question. If that requires a telephone call, we will provide to the cancer patient a free initial consultation to help them, to redirect them. It's at no cost to them. No cost. We're not charging them a dime for anything. All right. We're just there to help. This is about loving strong, right? That's what it's really about. Love strong. And I'm looking for our people like you guys, and I know they're out there, they're looking to love strong. And that means willing to make the sacrifice for somebody that you don't know in order to help them in their time of need, when they're really down, when they really need it, and there's nothing in it for you, but you're willing to make that tangible sacrifice, right? That's what we're looking to do.
How did you get into this, Bean?
Well, like I said earlier, my wife, back in 2014, she received a diagnosis. It was breast cancer. It was invasive ductal carcinoma. That's how it began for us. This journey ultimately came to work at a company that was involved, with cancer, integratively, et cetera. Also, my brother, my wife's name is Pamela, by the way. My brother, Ben, he received a cancer diagnosis as well at the age of 30 in 2017 as well. They've both passed on, right? I often tell people that my wife left me for a better man, and they go, what? It's like, yeah, my wife left me for a better man in 2022. And they go, what are you talking about, a better man? Yeah, his name's Jesus, But we were married for just shy of 32 years. And we knew each other for 36 years or so. And best friend and lover to pieces. And that doesn't change and that doesn't end, right? And I know, I have full confidence. I know exactly where she's at. I know she's doing really well. And I know I'll see her sooner than later. It's just a matter of time. I have to be patient when it's all said and done, right? But in the meantime, I got work to do. And I'm going to team up with the people that want to do this kind of work in order to help these folks that are in need of help, because quality of life is available to them. It can be improved. Remission is available to them. No evidence of disease. Some people think that, oh my gosh, if you're not cured of cancer, you've lost. That's like the biggest lie. If you die without Christ, you've lost. If you die without Christ, you've lost. All right? Because, we're all going to die from something. All right? But in the meantime, I think that we're responsible. We need to be responsible, do the very best we can to image God. And my wife Pamela and I were always fond, and I'm still fond of saying, you always fight for life. God is fighting for life. He fought for your life.
You hold on. You mean we shouldn't just, as followers of Christ, we shouldn't just become apathetic because we know the end of the story?
You really want to get me all
hold on.
Queued up, man.
I mean, isn't that what?
No. We're supposed to fight.
Oh, really?
Yeah, really, man.
I'll be dang.
Fight. Fight with all you got, man.
But I thought, since I knew the end was, I know how the story's going to end. I know that I see that the end is potentially coming. I see that crap's going, I'm saved. I thought I was just supposed to become apathetic and just let it all happen and be glad when it's over.
No, Ephesians chapter 6 says that we don't fight against flesh and blood, but against principalities and powers and spiritual hosts in the heavenly places that got it in for us, right? So we're in a fight. We are not allowed to sit down and do nothing.
Really?
That's not an option, man. You know that.
Daggone
you know
it,
that,
babe.
and everybody watching this already knows that. You know that. We got to fight. The reason that one of the things that is so great about the 3 of 7 project is the people that you meet, you want to fight too. This is fantastic. Somebody wants to actually fight, or they at least want to get, scuff up a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You're okay with it.
You ain't going to show up to train with us unless you are ready for a fight.
Yeah. And so that's great. I'm not saying you got to fight 24/7, right? You got to take a break, refuel, right? But we have to fight. That's why our whole country is going down the drain. Predominantly, unfortunately, and I'm embarrassed to say it, because the church decided not to fight anymore.
Yeah.
And so that's why we're in this mess that we're in, man. And I'm not, I'm talking about a spiritual fight, right? But that starts inside. That starts inside, man. And it manifests itself on the outside. And it
projects outwardly by way of action.
Yes. Sometimes I get concerned with individuals. I'm like, man, do you have a pulse? Is there anybody alive in there? Is there anything that you ever get upset about? Or is nothing worthy of you getting disturbed about? You're just too great and separated from the whole thing, right? We live here together. Are we just going to let it decay? We need to fight, man. We should, if we're going to die, then let us die on our feet in an honorable fight for what is good, for what is right, in the name of Jesus. And I mean that truly. And if you don't understand that, then I would challenge you to read the Gospels very carefully over and over and over again and get really acquainted with the person and the work of Jesus and understand that he is a real fighter. He fought disease. He fought evil spirits. He fought people that didn't agree with him. He fought all kinds of opposition. Mm-hmm. He fought the devil. I don't see the...
But he knew he was going to the cross. Why did he do all that?
Because he achieved victory through an act of violence. Victory through violence. That doesn't make sense to people, but that's what happened on the cross. A victory through violence. It's uncomfortable. And when God decides to finish up this story, read the end of the book, man. It's through an incredible act of violence.
Yeah.
The psalmist said, our God is a God of war. Now, someone's going to hear that and say, well, we should always go out there and get our gun and kill. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is there is a place for a holy kind of aggression. Passivity is not in the nature of God. God is not a passive God. It's impossible. Just creation declares that. And Scripture says he's sustaining it all. Jesus said, my Father's been working until now, and I'm going to work too. I got work to do. Go find out what work you need to be involved with. In my case, it's in the field of healthcare and with cancer. That's my work. That's what I do, right? But whatever your vocation is, everybody watching this has some kind of gift or talent. Figure it out and go do it. Get dirty with the fight, right? Get on with it, and love your neighbor, because that is what you need to do. Love your neighbor. I mean, for those of you that you know, you may not know this, I got to say this about Chad. I was at the basic course. That's where it was, the basic course. It was back in March, I think it was. And it's the first time I said to Chad, I said, hey, tell me about these 100-mile races, because I had already heard about this Beast of the East 100. And we were sitting around a fire it was like 1 o'clock in the morning, man. It was late. And I'm quizzing you about this. And you're basically feeding into me, right? You're depositing into my life about this, because I told you about this race. And then you said to me, you said, Bean, if you run that race, I'll run it with you. I had not made the decision to run the race. I was evaluating, and I continued to evaluate after that. I didn't make the decision to run this race until July 4th of this year. And I found out about the race after the proving ground from Brandon Rager. He told us about it like it was early February or something. And there's a bunch of guys from the team, from Bravo team that I was on that are going to be out there running and stuff. So, and then it was recently I circled back around to you and I said, hey, do you remember that when you told me you'd run with me, man? I said, I'm running. I said, it's time to keep your word, man. And you circled back around and you said, yeah, man, let's do it. You're going to, and then not only yourself, but Ben Thomason out of Washington State, who I met through the 307 Project. Shout out to Ben. Ben invited me to a men's retreat in August in Colorado. I went out there with him, and we were there together, and he says, hey, man, I got a surprise for you. I said, what's that? He goes, I'm going to run the Beast of the East with you. I said, what? He goes, I'll run the Beast of the East. I said, well, I can't run. I can't keep up. This is a guy that's done 200-mile races, man. He's no joke. Big redhead, man. I'm like, this is a sign, right? I got redhead Chad, redhead Ben. I got the Shekinah glory of God on each side, right? But Ben tells me, he says, no, man, I'm going to run it alongside. I signed up to pace you for the 100 miles. I was so humbled, man. I'm so humbled to know that Ben would, make that sacrifice of his time to come out. Because, man, you're trying to, raise funds. It's a good cause and all. And then you circle back around and say, I'm humbled by that. That's fantastic. I have a total of 5 other guys. There's 5 guys. With the exception of one, my son. Think about it. With the exception of one, all the other 6 guys are coming from the 307 Project. Every single one.
Praise the Lord, man.
That, you know what that says about this ministry? Because that's what this is. This is a ministry. That the word minister is just to be a servant, right? And that is so humbling. So I found people that were willing to fight in the 307 Project that would actually come out and support me.
Yeah.
I got Eric Roberts out of Oklahoma. He's part of the Resurrected. Mm-hmm. He's coming out to help, right? I got Greg Richens from Texas. He's coming out to help. He ran the marathon with me just a couple weeks ago.
I saw that.
Yeah. Okay. He's coming out. Brooks.
Yep.
Man, Brooks is Brooks Cobb. Okay. He watches this right now. Brooks Cobb will be there, right? He'll be there. Do you remember from the Resurrected where you invited me to teach this young man named Jake? Do you remember that?
Yep.
Jake is coming.
No way, man.
Mm-hmm. Jake and I formed a relationship out of that. He also went with me to a men's retreat back in August. Okay. So he'll be there, right? So, I think, and then you got yourself and then Ben, and
I'll tell you what, man. This testimony that you're sharing is just, it's so valuable to me, man, because this is the ultimate affirmation that what we have been called to do is worthwhile.
Oh, it's so worthwhile.
Because,
guys,
man,
yeah.
it's like but you lose. Like I lose sight of that, man, because we're in the daily, and it's a lot of. I'm not complaining at all. Everybody has to work, but it's a lot of work to do what we do with the amount of people that we do it with on the scale that we do it, and it's so easy to lose sight of like what we've been called to do, what Jesus Christ has blessed us with. Is it worthwhile? Like it's producing real fruit that's visible.
Yes, it is.
Absolutely, and I don't know. That just means a lot to me, man, for you to share that. Oh. And all right, we're have we had any donations come in? I want to see if
tracked it on there. We've got about $420 worth.
$420. All right, guys.
I'm looking at the website. It shows recent donations.
Where do they go? Where do they go again?
CancerDoctor.com. And then just click on the little orange icon that says we're giving away $100,000.
All right,
the link's pinned here in the chat.
I am going to match up to $1,000 of donations. So come on, guys.
Yeah, man, take his money.
Get in my pocket, man.
Take his money away, man.
Get in my pocket.
Maybe
son.
we need to bump that up to $2,000. You're going to match him, right? And Tech Guy? Didn't you hear him say 2,000 earlier?
I think he would.
He's got it right. I mean,
he's got a steady leak in that account. We just need to guide the water into the right bucket.
There it is, man.
Guys, we're gonna take a quick break just to hit the head. We'll be back in less than a minute.
All right.
But I want you guys to get that thing over $1,000 before we come back from the break. All right, come on, man. If every one of you guys, $10, we'll hit $100,000. Everyone who listens to this on YouTube and audio, when it comes out, we'll hit that $100,000. So this is easy, man. All right, we're going to take a quick break. Bean, when we come back, I want to talk to you, if you are willing. I want to talk to you about walking through or with your wife through her time of difficulty, through her sickness. And I want to understand that, man, because I think that, I know that if I'm around here long enough on this earth, I'm going to have the opportunity to walk through someone that I love through them with a time of difficulty. And I just want to understand what that's like. So that's what I want to talk about when we come back, if you're willing.
Absolutely. Sounds good.
We'll be back in a second, guys. All right, we back on?
Yep.
Outstanding. All right, YouTube. Thank you guys for letting us take a little break here. We apologize for keeping you waiting, but we're back. We're back. So, Bean, you briefly touched on, just briefly, the account of your wife and how you guys were married for 35 years?
Just shy of 32 years.
Okay.
We knew each other for 36 years.
Okay. Mm-hmm. You guys actually liked each other, too.
Yeah, man, I love her, man. I still dig her, I mean, I miss her, right? I miss those lips, man. Love kissing her, man. I'm like, dang, man. All you guys out there that are married, it's like, hey, you know what? You loved her at one point in time, man. You couldn't keep your hands off her, man. Nurture that relationship and love all over your wife, right? Because at some point in time, hey, you will be separated by death. And there'll be, that separation teaches you a lot. I'm learning a lot still right now from I've never been a single man in my entire life. I've only been with Pamela. I met Pamela when I was 18. I have no idea what it's like to live a single life. So the whole thing is brand spanking new to me. But a lot, man, boy, do I go back and, man, I'm like, man, I miss this and I miss that and I miss this and I miss, so many things, right? But especially when I did my wife's funeral, and all. So I did her funeral at home, and then we were originally from the state of Southern California, so we have family out there, and I did a memorial out there as well. And that was one of the most difficult things I've ever done, but by the grace of God, I was able to do it. But one of the things I said to everybody that day, I said, we didn't have a perfect marriage. Nobody does. But one thing we did have, we had a mature marriage. It was mature and it was good. And we were the best of friends. And I love her. And that doesn't change because we're separated right now. And I know she still loves me. I know she still loves me. And I know she's still very aware of me because of what Scripture teaches, right? She hasn't lost her identity. I'm not losing my identity. Jesus made it really clear, right? When in his teaching that, hey, did you hear? He's the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. He's the God of the living, not the dead. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob didn't lose their identity when they left. They're still Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Mm-hmm. Chad will be Chad. Tech man will be Tech man. Right? You're not losing your identity. So I look forward, to seeing her again. It'll happen.
This is something that you ask me all the time. Every time we see each other or we talk, you ask me, "Hey man, how you treating your wife?" Mm-hmm. That's not something that people ask, generally. Mm-hmm. And it really stops me and makes me think. And every time I'm around you, it makes me think about that. How am I treating Brooke? And am I being a loving husband and a good leader, strong leader of my family? And am I loving her and treating her and respecting her the way that she deserves to be treated and respected? And look, man, I cannot even begin to comprehend what it would feel like to lose her. I can't even put my I can try to fathom it, but like you said, you're even now still learning a bunch of things and I want you to talk to us about that from the time that she was diagnosed with breast cancer and then walking through that with her all the way to the point of eventually her passing away, going to heaven and being with the Lord.
And there's a whole nother point you don't even see, but Bean's got kids.
Yeah.
So you're enduring that with your wife, but then you're also expected to be there for your kids who are enduring that. And then when she's gone, I mean, I've thought about that before. I mean, our youngest Josie, last night she can't even go to sleep without Caitlin, and it's like, how do you walk through that with your kids?
Well, Brooke told me last night that she wanted to have. She thought she was ready to have kids, and I said, I don't know about that, Biscuit. I'm a little bit scared. I'm scared of that.
A little earlier, he said, "Are you ready to run 100 miles?" And I go, "Oh, are you ready to have kids?" No, you're never ready for any of these things. These are monumentous events in your life. These are big milestones. You're never ready. You'll never be ready to be a father, and you won't be a perfect father. So get it out of your head. But you can commit to do the best one day at a time, right? That you can make that commitment and put the effort in, right? So you can do that. You can do that. But get the whole idea, I got to be this perfect dad, or I got to be ready. You're never going to be ready.
Well, for me, and I don't want to distract from I want to hear this story, right? I want to hear about this because I want to understand. I want to try to just by way of listening to your story, your and your wife's story. I want to just gain some perspective.
Yeah.
But the thing for me with kids is when I ask myself, why would I want to have kids? I can't find a good answer. Like for me personally, I look at it as like this is that if I commit to this, it's not that I doubt that I'm going to be a good father. It's that I feel like, well, I love my mission. My life is full of purpose. My life is full of meaning. Like, if I have a child, it's going to detract, in my mind, I'm not saying this is true, but in my mind, it's going to detract from what I've been called to do now. Like, I know that's probably incorrect. I'm just telling you that's where my mind is when I say, okay, I literally, like, I have the best mission. I have the best life. I have the best marriage. I have the best of everything for me personally. So why would I want to put something in the mix of that? Because there's no way it can be any better.
It sounds to me like you don't want to enter into a new form of suffering. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah.
Is that what you hear, Tech Guy? This guy doesn't want to suffer with kids.
Yeah, I mean,
Good.
I hear him a lot, and I see. I mean, it would detract from the mission in certain ways, but in other ways it would add to it, and it's just got to be something led by the Holy Spirit. Like, you got to say, do I not want to have kids because I don't want to suffer in a new way? There's still a part of me that I want to do what I want to do, or is it truly that this mission God's given me takes so much focus that I wouldn't be able to father a child well and do this mission? I mean, I don't know. That could be the case.
She even used Blake as an example. She said, well, you don't see how much it's brought in terms of joy and happiness to Blake? And I said, no, everything about it just looks miserable.
That means I make it look miserable, Bean.
No.
He doesn't make it look miserable, but to me,
yeah, I get it.
It's like,
I get it.
Okay.
But here's the thing about kids, okay? I mean, all those things that you said, I'm not saying they're not true. Hey, there's work involved, and you have to, the way you manage your time changes. But there's some things that happen when you have children, and Blake can speak to this as well. But his children are still younger. How old are your kids again, Blake?
6 and 4.
6 and 4. Okay, so mine are all adults now. But the one thing that shines through when you have children as you're going through the years with the children is humility. Boy, do you get humbled. You just you get humbled because you realize, I don't know. I really don't know. And I'm tasked with raising this child. And I hope I'm not screwing it up here, right? And it also reveals to you the incredible compassion of God our Father on us, because you're now in a parenting kind of role. And those two things, the humility and the compassion of God the Father, the love of God the Father, I don't think I would appreciate those two things if it was not for children in my life. Yeah, I don't think so. It's just... yeah, everything from the time they're a baby to the time they grow up and they leave the house. It's a very fascinating thing. And then as they're adults and you still watch and how they're living their life or whatever, it blows your mind, right?
Well, there's no better tool. You were talking about you want to get better. There's no better tool to sharpen yourself than a kid, because that joker is a mirror, buddy. And for the last 6 years, they'll do things, and I'm like,
yeah,
that's wrong. Why are you doing that? And then I think about it and I'll say, well, probably because I do that.
Yeah.
And then you got to change that. And
yeah.
You can't run enough 100-milers. You can't run enough 500-milers. You can't do enough anything that would make you a better, if you take it seriously.
Yeah, if you
now,
take it
people
seriously.
can have kids and neglect them, and you're going to be even worse.
Yeah, we're not talking about that.
Yeah.
We're talking about people that want to put in the effort, right?
Right.
But what you just said was so important. Earlier, I was talking about, hey, we're tasked with imaging God. Mm-hmm. We need to copy him. Well, you have a kid, and they start imaging you. Mm-hmm. They're copying you.
Yep.
They just see you, and they do it. And you're like, hey, why do you do that? Well, the fruit doesn't fall far from the tree, man. That's why.
Yep.
And there you have it. So, yeah, do I shudder to think of a world where there's a little Chad running around? Yeah, that makes me a little nervous. Is he going to be throwing axes at the wall? What is he going to do exactly, right? And yet, on the other hand, you think of all the opportunities of what happens to Chad's personal maturity. Because it will change you.
Oh, yeah.
There's just no way about it. Yeah. You will be changed, right? And Yeah, man. And when I ask you, hey, how you doing? How's the marriage? How's Brooke and what have you? Because that's really, that is your first ministry right there in the home. That she is your closest neighbor. Truly. When you bring children into the home, now you have some additional close neighbors in the house, right? And it's really, everything that happens in those four walls, well, you can let your hair down at home, right? In ways that you can't out publicly. And sometimes that's good, and sometimes it's not so good. And with children, sometimes it's good, and sometimes it's not so good. And that's where the humility comes in, right? And that's when you realize, wow, God the Father, the Lord really does put up with a lot from me. Mm-hmm. I need to grow up. I need to mature. When Jesus said in the Sermon on the Mount, you shall be perfect even as your heavenly Father in heaven is perfect, the Greek word is maturity. And I always remind myself of that. He said, you're going to be mature. You're going to grow up. Same way God the Father is mature. Maturity is the goal. We need to mature and grow up. And children will make you mature whether you like it or not. If like Blake said, if you're serious about doing a good job, you're going to grow up in ways you wouldn't have grown up otherwise.
Dude, when you speak, I don't know what it is about you, man, but when you say stuff to me, it like hits me in my soul, dude.
You know what?
I don't know what it is about you, man. Like it literally produces some weird feeling like in my heart.
Same spirit, man. You know what? Sometimes
it's weird, man.
Sometimes it's just, I think
I can't explain it.
I think it's just because the Spirit of God's nailing you, right? I mean, so
yeah, but why? How does it come through you like that? Like it don't come through other people like that. Blake can say the same things to me, and it doesn't affect me in the same way. But for some reason, when you say stuff to me like you just said to me, it just busts me, man. Like I don't know, man.
I got people in my life that have spoken to me, and it gets me like no one else.
Yeah,
right? So
I think all of us have.
We all have someone.
Paul Wilder's that for me, and he can call, he can say things, and they just hit different, you know. And he knows he'll know things that's going on with me that nobody else even knows, and he can catch on to it, and so I don't know if it's spiritual mentor or whatever you want to call it, but just divinely.
Yeah.
Well,
come together.
The other part of this is just going to lead right into my original desire to just hear the journey with that you and your wife went through toward, How many years was that, by the way, from the time she was diagnosed?
8 years. We had just over 8 years.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, it was over 8 years.
Okay. The other part of it that's going to lead right into this is when we talk about children. To be totally honest with you, man, I am scared to death of potentially subjecting myself to the grief that would be involved with losing a child. Like I am scared to death of producing a situation where I could potentially lose this child and then have to go through the grief that would come with that. Like I would rather just avoid that the possibility of that even happening. So I don't expect you to give me an answer for that, but the reason I say that leads right in to this conversation is because, well, I got married, and but the thing is, when I got married, it has taken time for our love as husband and wife. Our love has grown stronger and stronger and stronger throughout the years. You know what I mean? But I didn't let that fear of potentially losing that person stop me from getting married to that person. But that's a big.
Kids are different. Like a kid is different. I mean, to me.
You have that immediate. Yeah, you have that. I think you have that immediate love. I've heard you have immediate love for the child, and then so it doesn't develop over time. And yeah, I'm sure it's a different type of love and all this and that. But
no, all these things are true. Look, I mean, my brother was 30 years old when he passed on. Crushed my mom. Crushed her. She still hurts today.
Yeah, man.
Pain. But we talk about it, and it's like, hey, Mom, would it have been better if you never came into the world? No.
Well, that's her answer.
Yeah, no. I mean,
wow.
Because it's better to have loved.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when you love deeply, you have the capacity to hurt deeply. There's just no two ways about it. On December 9th, the day of the race, it sticks out in my head because it'll be 1 year ago that a friend of mine, his name is Tony, and his son, Aaron, who grew up with my kids, died in an automobile accident. December 9th will be 1 year. He was just, Aaron was, 32 years old. Just someone crossed the center divider, head-on collision, married, had a kid, one on the way. Painful. Hurts my buddy and his wife. Hurts. And he was such a fine young man. Loved Jesus. You have all of these hopes and aspirations for somebody, and then they're gone. Is it better that he was never born? I mean, no, the family loves him. I love him. He's great. I know where he's at. We will see him again. And I'm not trying to be cliche, because we know there's a heaven and all that. It's no big deal. No, it's a big deal to be separated from. It's a big deal. It's painful. But if you make your decision of not having children just based upon that, then you're making it based on fear. Yeah. Are you not?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're afraid. So here you are, the big bad Navy SEAL. He's afraid to have a kid. Well, how weak is that? I mean, didn't you jump out of planes in a parachute or something? I think you told me once that's the scariest thing, to jump out of a plane at night over the ocean.
Yeah.
But apparently having a kid's even scarier.
Yeah. Yeah.
100%.
What? I don't understand, man.
There's a song that Toby Mac, Toby Mac?
Yeah.
He wrote it called 21 Years.
Yeah.
Have you heard it?
Yeah.
It about bring you to tears if you're really listening to it.
Yeah, I know the meaning of that song.
It's about his son that died, and at the end of it, he says, 21 years, what a beautiful loan. And I thought, man, that's really good because, you have this, you make this decision to bring a kid into the world, should you be able and all of that. And it's just a loan. But a lot of us, it's easy to fall into the trap that, they'll be there tomorrow. And then, I'm going to do this today, they'll be there tomorrow. And, maybe you push them down on the priority list from what they should be to get something else done or, do other things. But that's what it is. It's just a loan.
Something else, too. I'll just throw it out there to you just to show you how deep this really goes. There's a ministry that my wife and I have supported for years. They're called Johnny and Friends. I don't know if you've ever heard of them. All right. But they serve the disabled community. Johnny Erickson taught us, doesn't walk. She hasn't since she was 17. She's in her 70s now. And I went to volunteer this year at one of their family retreats in Arizona for a week. And it was the first time that I was surrounded with that many disabled kids that were from little to adults and their parents or family members. There was almost 300 people there. And the suffering is at a whole other level, man.
Yeah.
A whole other. Yeah. And it's never going to end unless the disabled person passes away or the caretaker passes away. It's not going to end for somebody. And yet, they love their kid. They love them. I mean, they're diapering them, putting them in bed, feeding them. All this is happening with a child that came into the world, and they didn't ask for it, but a disability came. Does that mean we shouldn't have had them? I mean, is that what it means? Not for them.
Right.
Not for them. But yeah. I mean, I don't. It's. There's fear is just fear is not a good place to make a decision from. No. Do not make a decision based on fear in anything in life. Right? Because fear is the opposite of faith, and faith always involves risk. Always involves risk, man. If there's no risk involved, there's no faith.
Yeah.
Period. There's got to be a level of risk.
Yeah.
Just has to be, man. So yeah, I say just, jump in, man, with both feet in and have a half a dozen kids or something.
Good night, son.
And just separate them by like 12 months. Time's running out, right, Blake?
Yeah, I'm getting pretty old, so yeah.
Yeah, man, yeah.
All right, man. All right.
You went on the tangent, man.
Let's talk. Yeah. Let's talk about your life, Bean.
Yeah, man.
So, what was it like? What was the initial response to the news that this person that you love so much is sick?
Yeah, heartbreak. You know, it hurt. You know, a heartbreak. Obviously, there's fear there, right? Oh my God, right? Are they gonna die? Are they gonna suffer really bad, right? And it's all the unknown. You don't know. But it's an ache inside. It hurts, especially as a man, and for all men listening to this. I think we're all inclined to fix a problem. You know, at a basic level, it's like we're problem solvers. Let's solve the problem. And so then you begin on a journey where there's a health crisis. I'm going to try to solve the problem. And I'm analytical, and I'm going to look into resources, and I'm going to try to find the best things. And you endeavor to do all this, and it's all good and right, fine and dandy. But then another hurdle presents itself. It's like, okay, I got another hurdle. Got to work at this. And then another hurdle. And then a new hurdle, right? And then you see the person that you love. In the case of my wife, Pamela, she's a fighter. I married her because she was a fighter and because she knew how to suffer. It was actually a qualification. I didn't want to marry a woman that didn't know how to suffer. And what I admire about Pamela from the time we were young, she was acquainted with suffering. And I fell in love with her because of it, because I came out of a home where there was a level of suffering. And I was led to believe that when it got difficult in life, she wouldn't leave me. I certainly wouldn't leave her. We were a good team when it came to that. So we were, suffering together, but she and as a person with this condition, and me as the husband, right? And so that's just that ache, of the heart. There was one day I'll never forget. There's certain memories you have that we all have that you never forget. And it was a trying. We had been through a trying time, and she just got out of the shower, and just that ache of soul was coming upon her, and it was upon me too. And I went into the master bathroom and all, and we just hugged each other, started to cry, fell on our knees, and a cry just turned into a wail. It just turned into a wail. I had my daughter was at the house, Harmony, and she was in her bedroom. She could, we were behind closed doors and she could hear us, we were it hurt bad. And at that point in time, I thought that I was a compassionate guy with the other human beings that were hurting.
Yeah. I
found out that day I wasn't. I found out that day that's where my compassion was born, on that day. Mm. That day, that suffering and anguish taught me compassion. I was not compassionate before then. Thought I was, but I really wasn't. And today I cannot look at somebody who is suffering with something that they didn't ask for and not feel compassion. I'm like, really inside my soul, it's like, oh man, it's terrible. How can we help? What can we do? Can we get a team of people to help in some way? Right? My wife has always been compassionate. Very, very compassionate, big giver. I was never the giver, in the house. She was the giver. Very compassionate woman. I thought I was compassionate. I wasn't compassionate. But that day just changed everything. And I'll never forget that time on our knees wailing and crying out to God for deliverance, really. Wanted a miracle. I wanted this nightmare to be over. done. Get it out of here, right? I wanted a supernatural healing is what I wanted. Because the amount of energy that this required to fight day in and day out, when you really want to win, and you want to do all the very best things you could possibly do, and you want to garner all the money in your war chest that you need to put at this, right? And all the physical energy that requires, it's taxing to do it day in and day out, right? As a husband, and I would encourage all the husbands out there that are listening to this, if there's ever a health crisis in your household, whether it's your wife or your child, there probably will never be another time that you are being called upon to be courageous like never before. And you need to turn into that true tender warrior at that time. You need to have a big heart full of compassion for your wife or your child. And you need to put every effort available and every fiber of your being to push forward, to overcome, right? And to fight for life. Always fight for life. There are 3 things that Pamela and I believed in deeply, and they were the following. And some people listening to this will know this because I've said it to them. It is no reserves, no returns, no regrets. There is no tomorrow. Live life. Live it to the full with no reserves. That means give everything you have to the other person. There's nothing left. Give everything you got to give. No reserves. No returns. There's no going back. Once you make the decision, there's no going back. You've made the decision to move forward. And no regrets. So that when you lay your head down on the pillow tonight, you go, I got no regrets. I did everything I could do. There's no tomorrow. I lived it that way, that this is the final day. Pamela was always fond of telling me, Rob, I win either way. I can't lose in this gig. Either I'm healed and I get better, or I go to be with the Lord. But I'm never going to die. I'm never going to die. John 11 tells me I will never die. And I know that. And you build yourself up, with that as you're going through the battle, right? You just don't know how long the battle's going to last. And it could be difficult. Now, I don't want to anybody listening to this to misunderstand, because we followed a completely integrative way of care. And most of the days, in the 8 years, were good days. Most days were good days. And when I say most, I'm not talking 50% of them. I'm talking like over 70%, 75% of the day were good days. That doesn't mean the other days there wasn't work to put in. We put in the work. She put in her work. I put in work supporting her. So we definitely put in the work, right? The last 3 years became difficult. The last 90 days were a pressure cooker, right? The last 90 days were a pressure cooker, right? And that was difficult. I learned a lot, during those days. I learned to appreciate a good day. So did my wife. Learned to not quit on a bad day. When you didn't want to fight, it's like, I'm tired. I don't want to fight no more. Too bad. Got to fight.
Is that what you told yourself?
That's what I told myself. And that's what my wife did. Because she was the greater example, because she's in it, right? And so I would see her. And I'll be honest with you, there was like this holy fear that struck me. I was like, how does she do this? I mean, like, truly. Now, I mean, she had an incredible life with God. I mean, the woman would wake up in the morning and she's like, I got to get my 3 hours in with God. It's like, I mean, that's how she was. Read her Bible, sing songs, do these little, her, what I call spiritual training, right? Mm-hmm. Spiritual. That's how she would start her day. And she was like, somebody would call her to check on her. How you doing? She goes, I'm here. I'm here. And she would just focus on today. She goes, I'm here. Here I am, right?
That's a superpower, man.
Yeah, I would see. I really saw the grace of God on her. I mean, truly. saw the grace of God in a supernatural kind of way. I saw her suffer in a way that a person shouldn't be able to suffer. Most people should just kind of crawl up and die.
Yeah.
But that's not what she would do. She would keep going. And she would always say, we fight for life. And in her encouragement with other cancer patients that she met and talked to, she was always encouraging them, right? In this kind of a way, right? There's no perfect answers, right? You put together the best team you can, and you gather the best information, and you put the best effort in, right? One day at a time, just today, because you may not wake up tomorrow. You don't know what's going to come tomorrow, right? Get rid of the stress, right? Chill out. It's like, don't take yourself too seriously, right? What Jesus said was true. The worries of today are sufficient for the day. There's no need to get into tomorrow. Yeah. What for? I mean, truly, what for? And, but yeah, she's amazing. I mean, I told friends, some close friends, I said, I saw that woman suffering today. I mean, I know she was in pain. And the woman's on her knees, praying and raising her hands to God, worshiping Him. And that is an image that I saw over and over, and it scared me. It frightened me. Because I was like, man, if I was suffering like that, could I get on my knees and worship God like that? I mean, I could do my part as a caretaker, like support, but when you see someone like that, and they're in a bad way in pain, and yielding, there was, last year, was last year we had together, and this was like in July or something, and we were getting some treatments, but we were together in the morning, and we were just singing some praise songs together, praying, singing together. It was like 6:00 in the morning, and we just got on our knees, we're praying, singing, and we spent this time there. And I'll never forget it, man. The memory is just burned in my brain. We spent a good deal of time there. And when we were done, she grabbed me by the face and she looked at me and she said, I just want you to know, I've never felt closer to you in my entire life than I feel right now. I've never felt any closer to you than I do right now, Rob. And I was like, man. And so you live a life with your wife, and you think about all the milestones that you've walked together and the things that you've done and things that you think are important. And then you come to this place in the fourth quarter of life where you don't know it, but the time's running out on the clock, and there's been a lot of pain. And in that pain comes the greatest joy. For her, the greatest happiness. That is so. It's not an earthly thing.
No,
it's not earthly at all. Probably in the this is probably like it was in the last week or maybe 2 weeks before she passed on. I would always check in with Pamela, and I have this thing that I do. I'd say, hey baby, how you feeling today? Scale of 1 to 5. 5, I'm in heaven. 1, I hurt like hell. And that's how I would measure. And so she would give me, these things. And then I would ask, scale of 1 to 5, what's your mindset like, your fortitude, right? Right. And that's how and that would kind of help me understand as a husband how I could help her.
Yeah.
Right. And stuff. And, same kind of thing, like, are you tired? Are you fatigued? Scale of 1 to 5, right? I would do those kind of things. And that would help me. And then I would ask her, I'd always follow up, are you afraid? Because of the whole fear thing. Right? Pamela was never afraid of anything. I do not remember Pamela ever being afraid. And she would always say, "No, not afraid. No, no, I'm good. No, no." She wasn't afraid to, to die or anything like that. And one day she told me, "I'm afraid." And I go, and it rocked me. I was like, "Oh my gosh, she's afraid. She's never been afraid of anything." I said, What are you afraid of?" And she says, "Well, you know how I'm able to suffer? I mean, like, I can suffer. Like, I can do it. I've been doing it." I say, "Yeah." And the suffering just gets greater and greater. And I keep doing it. She goes, "And I know I have the grace of God on my life to suffer. Like, I know I got a gift of sorts, a grace that's allowing me to suffer. And the pain's real. Don't get me wrong."
Mm-hmm.
She goes, "But I'm asking myself, oh God, how much more will I be allowed to suffer? Like, how much worse does it get?"
Does it get? Yeah.
And she goes, "And that has struck me with fear, because it's just incrementally growing, and I'm finally asking myself, whoa, when is that going to stop? And I'm afraid of that." And so I started speaking into her life, regarding that, and giving her words of encouragement, pertaining to that. My wife had gotten an infection, and that's what was really tearing her up big time and stuff. I probably have a greater respect for an infection than I do for cancer, as far as a foe is concerned.
Yeah, yeah.
If you get an infection, boy, depending what that is, that can take you out in 24 hours, or it can make you suffer and they can't find it and you're all messed up and suffering, and then you die. Infections are a bad deal.
And how did that infection come about?
You know what? We don't know specifically, but she had a blood lab done because we were culturing her blood, and that's a process where you identify exactly what it is, so you can identify what medications can kill it. A lot of times when you get an infection, they throw a medication at you that's broad to kill everything.
Yep.
But it doesn't mean it kills yours if it wasn't designed to kill yours, right? So you culture blood in a lab, and you got to wait so many days. That could be 7 days, 14 days, whatever. So they had, given her some meds, but that wasn't working. And then we started culturing the blood, but then you got to wait, right? And it was during that time period that we were waiting that she passed, right? But this infection was really hurting Pamela. And she's just amazing. We were in a hospital, and every day she would do her exercises. Every day she do exercises. She, just doing what she needed to do. And which was just humbling, man, as well, to see this. Because I was wiped out too, right? And that last, week, I really started to encourage her. I say, hey, this is going to come to an end, baby. Don't sweat it, right? The Lord is going to miraculously heal you, or he's going to take you. He is.
You said that.
Oh, yes. I said that week more than once. More than once. Especially when it got hot for her. Like, it was pressure cooker, right?
Wow.
I looked in her eyes. I held her. It's coming to an end, sweetheart. I mean, I was praying and fasting like I never had been praying and fasting. I mean, I was fasting quite a bit, over the course of, especially the last, 5 years or 6 years, but I was fasting a lot more, especially in the end, and praying and really seeking God's face, in favor. But I knew that he was going to heal her, he was going to take her. I sensed that in my spirit. I had a deep Spirit of God conviction about the thing. And I started communicating that to her. And Pamela trusted me. We had a great trusting relationship, right? I mean, We've been following Jesus together since 1989. It's a long time, man. And not playing a game with Jesus either, wanting to mature and grow up. So, we know what we're saying to each other. And so I would tell her those things. But I will tell you that I think it was the day before. It might have been. It was either the last day she and I spoke or the day before. I was staying with her in the hospital, but I was bathing her and all. And I want to say this to every husband out there, and hopefully you'll understand what I'm about to say. The woman that you were attracted to and you ended up loving and marrying and getting naked with and enjoying pleasure in all your nakedness, and ultimately becomes the mother of your children, and everything that gift represents, the beauty of all that, the passion, the excitement. And then to see that same body in all its nakedness and pain is a pain in the soul. It's just, and you cannot stop it. It's brutal. It's a very, I cannot explain it with words. It just hurts so bad. Because that's my baby.
Yeah.
That's my woman. I love her. I would do anything. I have done everything I can do. Because with no reserves, no returns, no regrets, no tomorrow. And I'm going to give it all. And so I'm bathing her. And I'm going through this pain. And she doesn't see me. And I'm just crying, man. Man, I cannot. The tears are just like, and I'm praying. And I sense, I kid you not, it was a supernatural. It was almost, it seemed like I could hear the voice of God in that shower. And it was more than once. All I heard was, give her to me. Give her to me. I will take care of her now. I heard that like 3 times. Give her to me. I will take care of her now. Let go. And I was fighting with the Spirit of God. I was like, no. And I heard, give her to me. I kid you not. God is my witness. I sensed the presence there while I was washing her. And at that moment, I felt like, when the woman came to anoint Jesus for his burial, right?
Yeah.
I felt like I was bathing her for that. It was just this spiritual sense. And it was a good day, her and I, we're having a good day together. And Pamela was just showering me with love. Oh my God, man. I mean, she kept on praising me she was going through this laundry list, right? It was like she knew, right? I mean, she was pouring on praise on me. Like, I was like, oh man. It was a Saturday morning. She gets up like at 5 o'clock in the morning. I think it was the next day. And she goes, all right, Rob, I got to go walk the halls. Got to exercise. What the world, man? I was like, are you serious? Okay, let's go. This was her deal. So go do laps and whatever. But that was the last day we spoke, because on that day she had lost consciousness. She was having trouble breathing, and she was laying down in bed, and this is something that's painful to recount, but yet at the same time, so very much Pamela imaging God. She got my attention, and I could tell she had some trouble breathing. She was laying in bed, and she motioned to me and said she wanted to get up out of the bed. And so I went over there, and we got up out of bed, and she was standing on her feet. And I was calling some doctors and all. And we were going through some treatments as she was standing, and she was fighting, to breathe. She was having some trouble there. And that went on for a while. And we had signals with each other, her and I, right? When she could, so there was a plan. But and I was praying with her, and I was holding her, and I was encouraging her, and I was doing all those things, and she was on her feet fighting. And all I could think of is this woman she's going to fight right out the door.
Nice.
She's not going to stop fighting. And then, she lost consciousness, and that's how, and I told this story to my son, and I think my son's name is Heath, and he's like, man, Mom went out on her feet. I was like, yeah, it's like so humbling. It's so wild to see my woman like that. But that is my woman. That's the woman I married. That's why I married her. And everything that she was when we met when I was 18, she just grew in that, and it paid off in spades in the end of her journey here. It big time. And I learned from her life. I was the benefactor. I mean, Pamela is an incredible woman, fierce woman of God. Fierce woman of God. And all. And so, of course, when I did her funeral and her memorial, Pamela was like, who else is going to do it, Rob? Who knows me like you?
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I know you, baby. Yeah, I know you. So is it painful? Yeah, it's painful. It's painful. But that pain only reflects the deep love. If you haven't really loved deeply, then you don't suffer no pain. Stay safe. Stay safe. It's impossible to get through this life, pain-free and loving someone deeply. That's not possible. It's just not possible. That's just as ridiculous, right? I mean, look at Jesus on the cross, in pain, in suffering, and still being brokenhearted for those around him. That's a strong love, man. That's a strong love. And that's the love that we need. We need that kind of strong love. We need it in our life. We need it with each other, right? And when it was all said and done, as Pamela's husband, I could truly say, and those that know me, that are close to me, that if they could speak about what they witnessed in my life and Pamela's, I know that they would say there was no reserves, no returns, no regrets. They lived like that throughout that journey. And I have no regrets at all about how I loved my wife when she needed that love the most. Zero. I sleep like a baby. I've never lost one night's sleep since her passing. Never. I've not lost a night of sleep. Nope. And I suffered, and it was difficult, and it was hard, but the grace of God was there. When we were weak, he showed up strong, just like he says. Where our strength ended, his began. It happened over and over again, and I saw the supernatural hand of God in power repeatedly, where I knew that is supernatural. It's the hand of God involved in the situation. So every husband needs to muster up and be there for his wife or his children and serve them like a good slave. I am a slave of Christ. I'm a slave of Christ. And I know that word may bother people because of all of its implications, but in Scripture, the servitude or the slavery that we have is to a good God, a good master. Jesus is good, right? And he loves people. He's not bad. He's not looking, to harm you or hurt you per se. We're going to suffer in this life. This is just the way this life is, right? It's a fallen world and all. It's got difficulty, but that doesn't mean you quit. That does not mean you quit. That doesn't mean you stop praying. That doesn't mean you stop hoping. That doesn't mean you turn off faith. No. You need to have a strong faith, a strong hope, and a strong love. And that has to carry you to the very end of your days on this planet. You know, die well. Die well, right? I mean, die like the master on your feet in the fight. Stay in it. And we need to encourage each other for that because we can't do it alone.
Yeah.
We didn't do it alone. We had encouragement. We had people praying for us like nobody's business, that loved us, that checked on us, that supported us through the journey. We didn't do it alone. I don't want anybody to have that impression. We had other lovers of God, people that loved us. They were there for us when it got dark. And if one of your friends, somebody else, you know, that you love and respect, they go through a hard time, jump in there and get dirty with them. Help them, whatever that looks like. Whatever that looks like. You know, in the last, from December of 2019, I remember these days, from December of 2019 until September of 2022 when Pamela passed on. So that's a long time, right? We were home a total of 4 months. So I'm going to say it again. From December of 2019 until September of 2022, we were only at home 4 months. We lived out because of caring for her. And we couldn't have done that if we didn't have support. Give a shout out to my good friends, Dan and Patricia Henley. They took care of our home, took care of our mail. Man, he shipped it to me wherever I was at in this world, whenever I needed it. Took care of my home. I love that brother, man. I love her, his wife. And they laid down their lives for us. Jeff and Janet Picorni watched our dog for all that time. Took our dogs. I didn't have to kennel the dog and pay for all that. Hey, man, they did for us. I remember one day coming back home after being away so long in the house. You know, you leave a home like that on a property, things get destroyed. Yeah. Everything's overgrown. I had one day, it was like 17 people from our church where I go. My pastor Ryan rounded up the troops and brought 17 people to put in a work day at my house. I calculated they put in like over 70 man hours that day, and a lot of stuff got done. Right? I couldn't have done this stuff without everybody laying down their life in some way. You may think, oh, it's just a little thing to do. Let me tell you, for this person that's suffering, that little thing goes a long way. Yeah. Goes a long way, right? Had, people come over and clean our house, right, that we know. I mean, all these things matter when you're suffering, when you're in the thick of it, right? That's why when I told Pamela last year early on, because I was already listening to your show, told her about the 307 podcast. She was like, "Oh, you need to go do that, Rob. That's so cool. She was concerned. You're here too much with me. You got to go do something else, right?" She was pushing me. You got to get out. You need to like decompress from all this. Plus, I work in the cancer industry. Yeah. 2021 was such a heavy year for me. In 2021, I personally knew 17 people that passed away that year. 2021 hurt me. I was like, oh, 2021. Now there's people from in their 20s to their 50s. It was like a tough year. You get to know someone, right? And that hurt, right? And you got to stay focused too on your fight, right? What you're doing, right? But she would encourage, you need to go to that 307 project. Go do that. That sounds like a blast, blah, blah, blah. I was like, not right now. It's not the season, baby. When it's the season, right, we'll do that, right? And so then right after, she left me for another man. September of last year, shortly thereafter, I was like, well, now's the season. I'm going to sign up for this proving ground. And I was like, this is going to be my therapy. These people suffer. I'm already suffering. It's like, what am I going to do? I'm like, I'm so conditioned now to this intensity, right? I need to find something to do. And so that's why I did the proving ground, the basic course, the rite of passage, right? signed up for some half marathons, a marathon, and now this 100. I mean, this is my year. That's what's happening this year.
No.
This is my spiritual therapy, in essence, right? It's not, and that's the way it's got to be for now, right? For now, because my King Jesus has clearly taught and put on display that the way to life is through a door called suffering. And I must walk through that door. He will be there. He'll comfort. He'll strengthen. He'll give the grace. And it's not always suffering. It's not always suffering. There's been plenty of good days where there's no suffering at all. We all have those, man. And we appreciate those, man. I like an ice cream cone as much as anybody else does, right? But then there's going to be days, well, we got to put this away. It's time to swing a hammer, and we need to sweat a little bit.
Yeah.
Or else, the terrible thing about human nature, we talked about suffering and developing a level of strength, right? And it's taking you years, Chad. It's taken Blake years. Yeah. And you know what's unfortunate? We all wish that once you developed it, that it would stay. Like, you couldn't lose it. But the reality is if you don't maintain, it diminishes. It's
perishable.
It's perishable. It's like a refrigerator. The food only stays good if you keep the thing plugged in.
Yep.
If you unplug it, the food will perish. Yeah. Right? If you don't cook the food under a certain temperature, it won't cook right. It must be under pressure. The bread won't turn into bread unless you put it in the oven and it gets hot. That's just the way it is. Everything seems to grow under pressure, or it maintains its value under pressure. But as soon as you let off the pedal and you get comfortable, it just diminishes. I wish it wasn't that way, but that's the way it is. I'm not going to fight it. I might as well, when somebody gets a cancer diagnosis, if you want to start getting on the right track, the first thing you need to do is acknowledge that this happened to you. This really happened. Accept it. Accept the thing and then take action. Many people are stuck and they won't acknowledge it. They're like, it's not happening to me. It's not happening to me. I'm going to get better and I'm going to get healthier in some other. No, you better acknowledge it, accept it, and act. And once you act, you will begin to get back some of the autonomy that you lost. And autonomy is really important because it's part of the image of God in you. You have the ability to make a choice. God makes choices. Our God makes decisions. And part of imaging him is making a decision. If you don't make the decision and you don't act, you're not imaging God. And as soon as you begin to act, you'll begin to feel a little bit better about life because you're taking some action. It may not be comfortable. It's, you're not familiar with the thing, but you'll begin to go like, okay. All right, this is feeling okay. I think it's okay. It's not comfortable, but it's okay because you're moving. You're taking action. You cannot stand still. You cannot stand still. That's not what life is about, right? If you just stay in one place, man, you're gonna rot, man. Yeah. You're gonna shrink back. You're not gonna grow, man.
Yeah, and that's true across the spectrum of. I mean, it's even true in business. It's like, we recently had the option in business to. We got to a point where we could have said, okay, well, all of our salaries are paid. We can stay at this level, and we can just keep staying at this level, right? Mm-hmm. So, like, that seems like an option that you can just kind of sustain. Mm-hmm. Like, you've reached the level that you want to reach, and then now you can just kind of hold pattern there. That's not in actuality an option, because that is the standing still that you're talking about. Mm-hmm. So you think that you can just reach this level that you want to get to where things are comfortable and that you can just stay there. In reality, if you choose to stay there, instead of going through the pain that comes with growing, if you choose to stay there, you actually begin to rot. You actually begin to back up, and you will eventually fade away. So this is so true in all aspects of life, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm talking about it from a business perspective. It's like, okay, well, no, we can't just stay here. Like, no, we actually have to go into town. We have to. We got 3 spaces in town. We hired another team member. We did all this stuff. We're looking from the outside. You could have said, well, why didn't you just stick with what you had? Because that's not even an option. Mm-hmm. I don't know, man. I am. Let me tell you, man. I am absolutely speechless when I hear you speak and the way that you speak and what you have endured. When I see the faith that Christ has given you, I literally just stand in awe, man. Like, I am speechless after what you just laid out to us. I don't.
Well, give God thanks for that, because that's truly the work of the Spirit of God. I mean, truly, it's like for all of us, it's Christ in me, the hope of glory. That's who does that, right? When we see those type of things in another person's life, we're like, wow, that person is really imaging God right now in the midst of that. They really are. I mean, you were talking about business. This blows my mind. This is a shout out to my boss. All those months that I was away from home that I told you about, Pamela and I, I got a full-time job. My boss, Reggie, continued. That guy could have fired me, man. He did not fire me. He did not let me go.
Yeah.
I'll never forget. Somebody told me, hey, Reggie's his name. He said, Reggie said, hey, man, whatever Robert and Pamela need, you make sure they get it, man, because that's what God told me, man, to do. Period. I mean, and I've told, I've thanked Reggie many times, man. And I said, man, Reggie, forever and a day, man, I will always have your back. Always. He was like, why? When it was the darkest time in my life, you made sure the money came in. You made sure of it. For me and my wife, you were doing it for my wife. I can never repay. Loyalty is big to me. It's because I believe that Scripture teaches in believing loyalty, we are to be loyal to Christ. Believe Him and be loyal. And when people demonstrate a level of loyalty to you, you reciprocate that loyalty. Be loyal to them. You don't forget them, man. When they were there for you, I don't care if they were there for you. My mother taught me when I was a little kid, anybody that's treated your grandparents or me well, you always treat them well till the day you die. They were good to it. You don't forget them, no matter how many years have passed. They were loyal to us when times were tough. I don't, that's where I come from.
Yeah.
It's just part and parcel of my culture and what I believe.
Yep.
Right? Yep. I mean, the fact that you guys invited me in here to have this opportunity, dude, I'll be loyal to you. You did this for us. Thank you, Jesus, but also thank you, Chad. Thank you, Blake. Thank you for those responsible, willing to do it, because this is what life's about, man. You remember when Jesus said, about the Pharisees, everything they tell you to do, go ahead and do it, but don't do as they do. He said something along this line, right? And he said because they weigh people down with a bunch of rules and regulations, but they won't lift a finger to help them. What good is it if you tell people to do something, but you won't lift your finger to help them, man? That sucks.
Yeah, yeah.
But if you ask them to do something and they're carrying 100 pounds and you go, hey, man, I can get 30 pounds right here with you. And someone else comes, I can get 10 pounds over here, man. Oh, thank you. Oh, man. Oh, give me a little break on my spine, man. I was starting to ache.
People don't understand this, though, man. Like you're talking about you're basically describing the power of the team. Essentially, you're describing the power of it, and you can look at it on so many different levels. The power of the collective body of Christ on earth. You can look at it that way. You can look at it the power of your immediate team. See, the reason it's so hard to grasp for people is because we live in a society that allows us to, for a certain amount of time, while things are fairly easy, you can exist as an individual. Like we don't have to rely on each other the way that it was absolute necessity in pretty much the whole rest of human history up to maybe the last 100 years maybe. And so people have lost the concept of this power of team and how much difference it makes to, like you said, just take 10 pounds here, take 5 pounds here, take this little bit here, take this, and the team can accomplish so much. That, that's one of the things that I talked about in my truck talk yesterday. I said, a valuable skill that every one of you guys need to aspire to have is the ability to take a group of people and form them into a team and then lead them well. Like, that's a real skill that is lost, man. You see it everywhere. It's a foreign concept for a man or a woman to be able to take a group of people and form them into a unit that is capable to go in a single direction in order to accomplish a mission. And see, that is if you're looking at the overarching thing of what I try to accomplish with every single training mission that we endeavor to conduct here at 307 Project, that is the overarching goal, is to show every one of you guys, hopefully model for you how we can take a group of strangers from all over the country and within 24 hours we can turn them into a single unit with leadership structure, with a common goal. And they all move in that direction, and everyone's willing to take that 5 pounds, that 10 pounds, that little bit of weight, anywhere that they can take it and bear it, and it gets disseminated and spread across the spectrum of this team, and then this unit becomes this unstoppable organism that can do tremendous things. But it's like, even the idea of that has been lost. But then when you take it a step further and say, well, it's sure enough been lost of what that actually looks like. And we get to see that over and over and over again by way of the ROP course, by way of the Proving Grounds, by way of the base. But that's the overarching thing that I'm trying to show people is like, and if you can learn how to do that and learn that it is possible and learn how valuable it is, then you can take that home with you. And you implement that into how your family works. You implement that into how your business works. You implement that into how your local congregation of believers works. And it's like, it is the only way. And that's what you're describing right now. But so after when the fight was over, I mean, what was that? What were those days like?
Well, the fight is never over, right? Because, but I know what you're saying. Right?
When Pamela's fight was over,
when her fight's over, my fight's not over.
Like, was there? I don't know. I mean, I know there had to have been grief, but was there any relief? Was there what was that like? I mean,
it was tough. First of all, so a couple of other things just to share with you, because, hey, the Lord did all this in our life. So when Pamela passed on, we were getting medical care outside the United States, right? We were down in Mexico, right? That's where we were at. And so when that happened, I was still very much in the fight because I needed to bring my wife home. And when you pass on outside of the United States in any country, there is a legal process to bring somebody back. All right. And that it is not necessarily easy depending on the country that you're in.
Yeah.
Right. There are requirements and all. And one commitment that I made to Pamela, I said, hey, babe, because she told me at one point, she said, hey, look, this is where I want to be. This is where I want to go. I mean, the woman is of a sound mind, okay? She knows why she wants to do what she's going to do and why.
Yep.
So the reason we were down in Mexico is because she wanted to be in a certain place at a certain time. And I'll tell you some of those reasons. One reason was she goes, hey, the country's gone nuts here with COVID. If I'm here, you're not going to be allowed to be with me. She goes, forget that.
Yeah.
So we're out. For number one, she goes, that's that reason right there, right? And she goes, and it's too cold blood, it's too sterile, and I'd rather be over here with these folks that I know, and they love me, they care about me, right? I want to be here. I'm like, okay. She goes, and don't sweat it if something happens, right? About as far as bringing me home. If you need to cremate me, and she goes, you can cremate me and bring me back home. Now, we have our burial plots where we live already, okay? We got taken care of this in the past. And we've always been big about burial, just our personal conviction. And I said, no, I will get you home no matter what. And so after she passed, the next, I don't know, it was like 72 hours. They were just full of tension and difficulty to get my wife home, right? I was doing some gymnastics, and I had friends helping me at home too, on all this, right? Legal paperwork and all that you need, a lot of red tape. But I got her home. I by the grace of God, I got my Pamela passed on a Monday, and I had her home on a Thursday, and I was home too by that time, right? Good buddy of mine named Ralph drove across the country with me. Pamela was being flown back, but and then I had to. There was a lot going on because now I need to arrange a funeral. So nothing's turning off up here.
Yeah.
I'm still very much in a fight mode, and I am fighting to accomplish and to do everything that I committed to my bride that I would do for her.
Yep.
No ifs, no ands, no buts, no exceptions. This is the way it's going to go. Because I was raised in a home where honor was really important. And remembering those that are loyal to you, that've been there for you. And obviously there was no one more important to me in my life than Pamela. So there was a lot of things that I did in the way I did them because of honor. I was going to honor her because she was still very much alive. We were just separated by space. But I'm going to honor her. And so what I needed to do and how I needed to do it for her funeral, that took some work, took some stamina, right? And while at the same time inside you're hurting. And then I had to plan a memorial in a different state in California. So I these things were like boom, 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 right? A lot of travel and doing all that. But by the time October was over, I was kind of like, you're kind of like in a fog. Like I can't, it's almost like I'm not me. I'm moving through time and space here, but it's a very strange feeling, right? Very strange feeling. And nothing that was happening caught me by surprise, because for 8 years, we always live with this, you have this kind of reality. One of the things that Pamela was fond of was like, one of the things about getting a diagnosis is like, okay, now life and death becomes cranked up a little bit more, for you when you have something like this, right? Whether you beat it or not, but you become more acquainted with this whole concept of, hey, I may not be here.
Yeah.
Right? I may not be here. And so you do think, a little bit more seriously about what do I need to do, or governing your affairs and this kind of thing. And so, but to believe it or not, by the grace of God, it's been few and far between where I break down and I have a crying, what I call a passing sadness. It's a passing sadness. And that passing sadness probably lasts me, no joke, about 60 seconds. About 60 seconds. And I think I know why. Because when it hits me, I generally fall on my knees, just like Pamela and I did that one day. And I just cry out to God.
Good night, man.
And I get on my knees. I'm in a ball of tears. And I say, Lord, you got to help me. I need your Spirit to carry me through this sadness right now. I know she's with you. You said you take care of her. And I kid you not, that sadness passes right through me. It's just like, whoo, and it goes away. And I don't feel sad no more. I'm not jumping up and doing a dance, but I'm not like in that depression. I'm not in a depressed state. I've never been a depressed, with anything associated with this. I've been depressed other times during the thing, but not after the fact, right? It is difficult to be in a home that you spent so many years with, your wife and your children, and now the house is empty and you're there by yourself. And that's a whole new, that's hard. But then I'm like, okay, God, teach me how to be productive and be constructive and do what I need to do here, right? And live my life, and don't turn into a hermit. I need other people.
Yeah.
Connect and get with my people, and let's be together, stay in the Word, encourage one another. And by the grace of God, I got people to check on me. Hey, how you doing? And what's going on? And this and that. And one of my good buddies, Dan told me the other day, he goes, every time I leave your house, I always think to myself, gosh, I hate to leave him there alone. I said, I'm glad you feel that way, bro. I'm glad you love me and you care about me, right? I'll get a text message. Hey, you doing okay? Hey, you this, hey, you that. On my anniversary, Pamela and I, our anniversary is October 27th, so it just passed recently. My friends, the Henleys, there's a bridge. It's the Cotter Bridge out in north central Arkansas. And you can rent lights to light up this bridge at night in different colors in memory for birthday celebrations, whatever. Well, they rented the lights to light it up for our anniversary. And we gathered together there that night. We had pizza and just a time of fellowship, hanging out, remembering, right? And I got a grateful heart, right? This past April, Pamela's birthday is on April 19th. She passed on September 19th. The number 19th has come up in a lot of strange ways. Mm-hmm. I got a lot of stories on the 19th because we even bought our plots, our grave plots on the 19th of a particular month. It just 19 is a real creepy thing. But on her birthday, one of my friends said, "Hey, we should have a birthday party for Pamela." What do you think about that? We just invited a bunch of people. I said, hey, that is fantastic, right? I think it's great, right? We'll do that. We'll remember her and we'll invite people, tell stories, whatever. So we did this year on April 19th. I mean, this is what we did. We got together at the cemetery. 22 people showed up. And then I spun it around. All right. We were all there. And we got there, I think, like at 12 noon. And then we were going to have food at my house, right? But I said, we're here for Pamela and all this. But somebody once said that if you don't speak about the person that passed away, they die twice. And anybody that you love, you should speak about them because they're very much alive. One way or the other, they're alive. So I want to take the time right now for each of you to name before us a person that's no longer here that you loved. And I want you to tell us why you love them. That little endeavor that started at the grave didn't finish until like 7:00 that night at my house. And I had people saying, that was like one of the best things I've ever done in my life. It was so good. Yeah. Because it's good to speak about the people that you love that you're separated from. It's a good thing, man. Yeah. To remember them. Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you? Right? My wife and my brother Ben were tight. Ben looked up to my my wife all the time because of what she was going through. And then when he got a diagnosis, you know, she was trying to help him and all this stuff, right? And they had a great relationship. And I know that today they're having a good time. I know that. It's okay. It's okay. Life is short, right? It's a vapor, just like the scripture says. It's short, and none of us knows when our last day is going to be. You know, we could go out there, God forbid, get in a car accident, boom, it's over. That happens. It really happens. Every day, thousands of people pass away. Many of them didn't even know it. We had the blessing of getting an advance notice that, hey, you got this condition here, could do this, right? We'll see what happens. But many people, like my friend's son, Aaron, last year on December 9th, you know, he was in an automobile crash, completely unexpected at night, and he's gone. I think that's a worse suffering than mine and Pamela's. I think it's worse when someone's just snatched and you didn't know it. I think that not all suffering is equal, in my opinion. There's different, I think, degrees of suffering, for sure. You're a soldier. You've seen some terrible sufferings out there in the world. You know that there are sufferings that you're like, would never want to have to endure that at all. I can't speak to why these things are the way they are. I just know it's a fallen world, right? I know people make decisions. They have their autonomy to make choices, right? And so, yeah, but I really think that the grace of God has been on my life. I have no regrets about how I've lived it with my wife. I have no regrets on how I honor her today. Ever since she's passed, I seek to honor her, right? In any little way that I can. Because I still love her. Yeah. That doesn't change. Yeah. That'll never change.
You know, it's to me, I think we miss a lot of times. We miss reflecting or remembering the resurrection of Christ, and like it's so important. And I pray this on a daily basis. As a matter of fact, this morning, like, remember all of you guys out there right now, and girls who are sons and daughters of the Most High God, the Lord Jesus Christ. Remember that we have received victory over death. And Jesus represented that by way of his literal bodily resurrection from the dead. He literally brought himself back to life by way of his own power, because death could not defeat him. And we partake in that. Like, if we need to remember that. What a gift, man. And if we can comprehend that and remember that and reflect upon that on a daily basis, it changes everything about, one, the way we live, and about two, the way we react in the presence of loss. I mean, not, like Bean said, not that it eliminates the pain, because the pain is part of the process. It's the way. But don't ever forget that, man.
Amen.
Well, Bean, we gotta start to wrap this thing up.
You think?
How long we been going?
I don't know. It's been a long time.
Look at this
3 hours
clock right here.
Are you serious, man?
What's it say on the clock right there on that board, Bean?
2:52.
2:52. Blake, you were a little off there.
It's a long
It'll
time.
be over 3 before it's wrapped up.
We gotta go. Are there any listeners still? Did they all leave?
No.
What did we get up to on donations just during this live call, Blake? I'm just interested because I need to know how much I need to
That pocketbook
write a check to Bean for.
Yeah, you got to put out 2,000, brother.
What are we up to?
Up to $1,565. That's a pretty close number. That might be a few dollars off because I didn't start using my calculator until it got beyond my memory.
You guys did it then.
Yeah, they sure did.
You guys did it. Thank you guys for that, man. That means a lot. It's unbelievable that we can get on here and have a conversation, and you guys are willing to make that contribution. And today's a special day. I mean, today is set aside. We have set aside as a society. We've said this is Giving Tuesday.
Yeah.
We've spent if you guys are like me, we've spent the last couple of days looking for deals and buying things and Christmas gifts. And yeah, man, I've been looking for deals on everything from a new wristwatch to wheels for my Toyota out there, you know. But today is a day that's set apart where and I understand, guys. I mean, you might be in a position where you can't contribute a large amount, but we've already talked about that. It goes back to the conversation we were having about you take 5 pounds here, you take 10 pounds. I mean, I appreciate that from you guys, whether you gave $1 or $500.
Amen.
It is no different
Absolutely.
to me, man. And that is biblical. And I'm thankful for all you guys that are so active in 307 Project by way of YouTube, by way of audio. I mean, it's you guys never cease to amaze me. I can't explain it. I mean, we are connected with like the most responsive, the most gracious, the most giving audience are literally around the world. We've been connected with all these people, and it's unbelievable, man. It's like they never cease to amaze me. When we're able to use this platform to highlight a need, you guys always respond. And I don't know why, but you do. You always respond. And for that, I thank you. Each and every one of you guys that contributed to this effort.
Yep.
And so I'll be out there with Bean December 9th, Lord willing, and I'll make sure to take some video clips for you guys, and I'll post some of those on YouTube. I'll post some of those on Instagram so you guys can see, be out there with us in a sense during this effort at the Beast of the East 100-mile race. And it's going to be a good day, man. So
Post that picture where you're carrying me on your shoulders, man.
Yeah. Bean, thank you so much, man,
you.
for coming and sharing your testimony and just pouring out your heart and wisdom to me, and it impacts me tremendously every time I get to talk to you. It really does.
Appreciate it.
Blake, you good?
Well, yeah.
Bean, you good?
I'm good, man. Thank you very much, and thanks to everybody that donated. I really do appreciate it.
Yep. All right, guys, we love you. Thanks again. Enough said.
Can't believe how much time passed.
I think I got bed sores on my butt.